Good evening, Packers fans. Aaron Nagler here, ready for night 2 of the 2026 NFL Draft. Preseason's over. All the other teams got to have their fun. Now it's time for the Packers to make a few selections in the second and third round, slated to pick at 52 and 84, though you never know with Brian. Maybe some movement happens. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for joining us. We have CHTV NFL Draft Analyst Newt Westen joining us this evening to talk about anything and everything when it comes to the picks, comes to draft questions, guys that may or may not be selected by the Packers, guys he likes, guys he hates. Newt, how are you, brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing well. Super excited for tonight. Obviously, like I love day one of the draft. That's kind of that nostalgia, but you know, it hurts a little bit when the Packers aren't the ones making a pick. So super excited for tonight and what we got cooking.
Absolutely. You guys have probably seen Newt's work here on the YouTube channel. Newt, I cannot thank you enough for really some heavy lifting during draft season here. You've done a ton of video for us. Really excited to have you here tonight. Thanks so much. Is there a guy, because it's funny, you do so much analysis, right? You're very, very good as far as being, I'm not going to say detached, but you're almost like, you're looking 30,000 feet trying to be an analyst. Are there guys you, Newt, the Packers fan, are rooting for, say at 52, possible, maybe not draft crushes, but guys that you're really hoping, A, are there, and B, could potentially become Green Bay Packers?
Brandon Cisse is the one that comes to mind where I'm looking like, hey, this is a guy that I've got not a first round grade on, but a top 32 grade on. It's such a position of need. We've talked about that with where do you have all of these guys and where is Goot going to go? So I think Brandon Cisse would be a huge one for me. I hope he doesn't fall there, but TJ Parker as well. Just
right.
Like the fact that he's still on the board. I'm a big fan of him. Derek Moore as well. Gabe Akis. I think all of those guys have a phenomenal opportunity to be great additions early on.
Well, we saw the first round play out yesterday, and I know this sounds like draft cliche talk, but it sure feels that the board held up well, quote unquote, for the Packers. Given the guys you just mentioned, a few that are still available, and where it looks like this draft could trend. You mentioned cornerback being a position of need. I got to think there are going to be a few that are going to continue to get pushed down here simply because I expect there'll be a mini run on defensive tackle, which is unfortunate because that's another need. But I suspect there are going to be a couple of corners available who, maybe would have gone a little bit earlier in other years. But I think that, like I said, I think the board did hold up well for the Packers.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Jaden Price to get drafted where he did, and so
right.
That one I was like, oh, I'll take it.
Right.
It completely ruined my huddle report mock, but I was more than willing at that point to take the loss for the Ty Simpson. Jaden Price didn't have that, but it's great things. There's been like this whether it be smoke or whispers of Carson Beck.
What is that about all of a sudden? I saw Matt Miller putting that out there that he expects him to go early today. Like, are we talking about a different Carson Beck? Like, what is happening? That'd be crazy to me.
Well, I'm trying to think. If we take a look at the Cardinals, I think that's a spot where you could see him going.
Right.
But
right.
like, I didn't think we would be talking about Carson Beck day 2.
No, neither did I. That's my point. Like, I'm very surprised. I will also say I commend you, sir, on your choice of beverage. There you go, baby. Let's go. That's what I'm talking.
I'll be having a Guinness for the majority of it, but I had to start with a carry the G.
Kick it off with a carry the G. You love it. You know it. There you go.
Wherever we may be, so creamy and cold, and from the land of the green and gold.
Absolutely outstanding. You love to see it. Speaking of Carry the G, let's talk to some Carry the G Club members along with Patreon members here on Cheesehead TV. I know we have a few in our Zoom waiting room, our gallery. Look at this crew here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Big B is here. What's up, Big B? Good to see you. Look at this motley crew. I love to see it each and every year. Joining us here live on the Cheesehead TV YouTube channel. Packers fans from literally all over the world. Look at this crew. Love it. And, of course, I love that down in the bottom we've got Eeyore number 1, like holding it down. Well, now he's joined by Andrew Ware. But we had it where we had Eeyore number 1 just holding it down. Love to see it. So let me go back to Newt real quick. We've got the 49ers on the clock, who obviously traded out of the first round yesterday. It's interesting to me that there are a handful of teams that didn't make selections yesterday. There were more because of some trades and also people that had traded before the draft. There were like 4 or 5 different teams that haven't made a pick yet. Do you think there's a chance because of that, right? They've obviously dropped down or maybe had situations where this is their first day as well. Do you expect more movement today because so many folks are kind of chomping at the bit, so to speak? Or do you think they'll continue to let the draft fall to them?
I got to think there's going to be a lot of movement today. When you take a look at some teams, it feels like there's a really big sway in terms of who's got a lot of draft capital, who doesn't have a lot of draft capital. And in that regard, I think that you're going to see teams making that move when they get an opportunity to. And I also think that when you start seeing the run on positions like edge, like cornerback, like defensive tackle, it's going to initiate some of those. And so with that, I absolutely do. And like you said, the 5 teams or whatever that didn't make a pick is going to be something that I think really does kind of accelerate that. The fact that, San Francisco traded out, I was actually a little surprised on, because I thought a left tackle would have been perfect for them. But, they made the decision to trade out of that pick when you've got, I don't know. I guess there's probably not someone right there. So maybe that makes sense. But yeah, I think that it is crazy how much there's been, but I think that means that there'll be a lot more still.
I tend to agree. The 49ers taking this down. They got 3 minutes left for their selection to be made. They are on the clock. Let me throw it open to the gallery here for a little bit, because I know we've got a ways to go. I don't know that the Packers are going to be one of those active teams, though you never really know. I got to ask my friend Grant here, who is joining us from deep Wisconsin. Let's say that. Grant, how are you tonight? Good to see you, buddy. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Right out of the gate, I can't hear him. Right out of the gate.
Maybe
on
it was
your
on
end or
my
my
end.
end? There it is. User error. Grant, how you doing, buddy?
No, well, we don't know that. Wait, that's not confirmed. We don't know. There were bugs somewhere. Nice to see you, Aaron.
Good to see you. A hard day producing the Bill Michaels show, or you don't have to be live now. Are you preempted? Is that what's working? Is that what's happening right now?
No, I'm off the air at 6 Central. So I just did 2 hours. We got the Jaden Reed news during the show, which rules.
Sweet.
Yes. And it's also great because I don't know that much about all these guys the Packers were looking at taking tonight. Like, I don't know. I'm not someone who
that you're coming on a draft show.
Height and weight.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not someone who can just rattle off 6'4", 220, 4'4". It's not how my brain works. So the Jaden Reed extension was the story, and I'm excited.
How do you feel about that?
Actually learn more about them.
Were you surprised? Were you happy, excited? I know you were a man who is unafraid to share an opinion.
Well, it comes with the job. I said I like the player. I love the contract. That's the bigger part of this to me.
Right.
I just think everyone's concerned about the health of Christian Watson and Wicks when he was here, and the drops by Wicks and Watson when Wicks was here. And I just think Jaden Reed has a lot of those same concerns. But the thing with Reed is he plays a role that I think is more difficult to replace than Wicks or Dobbs, especially in this draft. The draft people tell me there aren't many Jaden Reed types available. There's more Christian Watson types available. So I don't know. Maybe they'll draft one of those, and then we can question Christian Watson's future.
We can have that argument. Yeah, I can't wait.
The number.
Yeah,
like
the
Kenny
contract's
got more money.
excellent. Yes, right? I mean, and the fact that essentially, I know it's touted as a 3-year deal because that's what the agent wants, and certainly the $20 million guaranteed at signing, totally get that. And to your point, like it is, especially comparative to his peers, I love it. Absolutely love it. And I have to think it's probably most likely a actual 2-year deal. Got to think that third year is probably some balloon. You know, it's there's no
2
way
years
that
and we'll see.
2 years and we'll see, and they'll have a moment where they can address it in the offseason. So, yeah, man, I'm with you. I love the player. I love Jaden Reed. I do think people sleep on him a little bit because he has dealt with injuries. So he's missed a number of games, no question, especially last year. But it looked like he was ready to have a monster season at the start of 2025, and then of course they had the shoulder injury that knocked him out for a long time. And I also think this helps utilize Matthew Golden as a perimeter receiver. You know, I'm happy to see a trio of, you know, Golden, Watson, and Reed for the majority of the year, mixing in whoever else. Obviously Tucker Kraft is part of that as well, but yeah, I'm happy with Jaden Reed, big time.
Tyler Ervin was a load-bearing player, or felt like one, not that long ago. So I think it's the role, it's what he provides to the offense, and if he's here for the next couple of years, you don't have to shoehorn somebody else in there. Like if they feel,
well, that's
certainly
the
Matthew
thing,
Golden,
right?
but also Savion
Yes.
Williams, whatever he is, like you can let him do whatever you think it is that he can
Play
do.
receiver,
I'm not hating on him,
hopefully.
I just don't know.
No. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, they took my draft crush, the 49ers.
Who went?
Deshaun Stribling out of Ole Miss, the wide receiver. I mean, after today's news, I probably wasn't really thinking that he was going to, you know, be selected by the Packers, but I don't want him going to the 49ers. I love this kid. I absolutely love this.
They
receiver.
always seem to get the guys that I remember Ayuk years ago. Like that was the player that, and maybe I don't know, maybe the Packers dodged a bullet. I will say, and then I have to jump, and I know you have so many people you want to talk to. I'm getting progressively concerned about the O-line the closer we get. And maybe that's because Mike Clemens, like that's his slant, and what he says, it embeds its way into my brain.
Yeah, I hear you.
If they go O-line early and often, I think I'll be happier than I would have been a month or two ago. I'm starting to get concerned there. So
I hear you. I think they will address it. I don't think it'll be early, but we'll see as the draft kind of plays out here. Grant, thanks so much for joining us, man. You're a legend.
It's nice to see you. Thanks
Great to see you, brother.
That. Have a good one.
Thanks, man. Joe has his hand up like a gentleman. What's going on, Joe?
Oh, not too much. My question is, who do you think the Packers would have taken had they had their pick at 20? First of all, I do think they would probably trade back to 23.
They would try, definitely.
But
let me bring in Newt. I'd love to get Newt's opinion on this because God knows, man.
So,
I didn't do a ton of work on most of these first rounders. Newt, what do you think? If the Packers had been there yesterday with the pick and not without Michael Parsons, who would they have selected?
So just pulling it up right now. You know, you got I forgot they made the trade too. So Monroe Freeling goes. I like Malachi Lawrence went pick 23 actually. Right. That was one, a lot of buzz about him to the Packers. Definitely could have seen that. Or Chris Johnson. I think that either one of those guys, you'll see in there, Peter Woods as well. I think that the fact that he fell to where he did was one, but one of those positions, you get a really good athlete at that position, a position in need, something Gutekunst has addressed for all of those, edge, defensive tackle, and cornerback in the first round.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Let me ask this, Newt. Where do you think, as far as if living in Joe's world here of if the Packers have yesterday's pick, do you think it more likely that they try to aggressively trade back in this draft since it's been touted as, there's not a lot of sizzle? I know I've heard a lot of people talk about how there are probably closer to like 15 or 16 actual first-round grades in this class. Drop down, get as many picks as you can to get more swings at the plate, perhaps?
That's the conversation now at pick 52. Everyone's like,
right.
I'll trade back 20 spots and get 20 bites at the apple. And I'm like, I mean, what do we want? Just the loaded day 3 players? Besantis. Right. I like that.
I know.
I just saw him come through.
Cardinals need him too. Cardinals need him.
Yep, they did. I had them grabbing a tackle early on. They obviously went with Jeremiah Love, but
Love.
so yeah, I think that it's a conversation I had with someone today. You know, like you said it really well. The number of first round grades is small, but I think it's a really fat day 2 group. And so, yeah,
Right.
the more opportunities you can get, if you could trade back 10 spots and pick up 2 day 2, well, 2 day 2 picks from that, absolutely. I think that would have definitely been something. It wouldn't surprise me if they had a first round pick and they didn't make a pick on day 1 because they did trade back.
I mean,
well, the trade Dallas
interesting.
made was going from 20 to 23, and they got 2 fourth rounders.
Ammo,
So
right?
I would assume Goody probably makes that same trade and goes back to 23.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. I mean, it was a wild ride for Dallas. They traded up 1 spot for 2 fifth rounders. They gave up and then traded back 3 spots for 2 fourth rounders later in that same round.
Is Jerry cooking or what?
I'm telling you, I think Jerry's
did it
doing
just
okay so
kinda-
far. A lot of ball game left, though. He's got plenty of time to
Did
screw
you
it
just
up.
get a little did you get a little lucky having Caleb Downs kind of fall into his lap?
But he didn't.
That
He
was
went and
my
got
number
him.
1 player.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
the Dolphins must have made a good case to Jerry because the 1 picks flip, but I hated the fact that Caleb Downs went to the Dolphins. I would have rather had him gone to Miami, who's probably going to become my new AFC crush
Darling,
as far as like,
Well, it's Packers
just,
South,
obviously. Exactly. So I would have loved to see Caleb Downs go there. I love Caleb Downs as a prospect, but yeah, I mean, Jay made the move to get his guy, something they really needed.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Joe, thanks so much, man. I believe Lieutenant Dan
Yep,
has his
thanks.
hand up like a gentleman. What's going on, Lieutenant Dan?
Hey, what's up, Nagler? Hey, a couple comments, and then a question for Newt.
Yes, sir.
I see you bracing yourself already, but I promise
I'm just happy Banky's not here, so I don't, no meltdowns, no Banky.
I had bait.
We're good.
I had bait queued up for him too. I'm so disappointed.
I have zero doubt.
I just wanted to give you and him some shout outs for your interview with Mr. Ed the other night. That was a fantastic interview, and I felt it was very balanced, and I think the questions were fair and hard, and I really appreciated the questions pertaining to the coach extension. So
I was channeling you, Lieutenant Dan. I was going to push a little harder, but we didn't have enough time. Like, he needed to get down to Madison, and we had just an allotted time, which we actually went over. But I did want to represent, fans who aren't thrilled with that development. So I appreciate it, man.
Well, and I appreciate it, and I know you want to have them back, so you can't channel me fully on those questions. So I appreciate that. But anyways,
it's all good.
Right. And then the other comment I had was about the Reed extension, which I like the extension, but the jet sweeps are going to get run down our throat this season. That check's in the mail. So, but my
and
question,
the touchdown catches, those also will be plentiful. Let's look at this glass half full.
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope you're right. But my question was for Newt. Has he done any looking at Colton Hood at cornerback, and what is his thoughts on Colton Hood for tonight?
Yeah,
Colton Hood.
I could talk a ton about Colton Hood. I'm actually probably a little bit lower on Colton Hood than others. He's number 48 on my board, but I mean, still right around there with where I'd love to see the Packers taking him. I think that as far as cornerbacks go, for me, he's the last guy in kind of an early group of players that I would love to see them get between Cisse, obviously Jermod McCoy's still on the board. Injuries are going to probably play a big role in that. But then Avion Terrell and Colton Hood. And so I really like Colton Hood. I like what he did this year without McCoy, him being able to be the number 1. I think he's extremely physical. The athleticism for me, I thought jumped off the screen. You saw it with his RAS score. I think that with him, you're getting a really good cover guy and a guy that needs to continue to grow in an NFL element where he needs to become a little more physical in the run game. I think he's got to trigger downhill a little bit more and some awareness pieces. But what the cover guy that you're getting, the ball skills that come with him, he had a 15% forcing completion percentage. That's a guy that I want. That's a guy that I think, man, truly has some CB1 upside.
Yeah, he definitely, to me, he just seems like kind of a Goody style guy. He's kind of floating under the radar, and that's why I just was curious. I would not be surprised to hear the name. But see, look at Nags. I did some research and everything for tonight.
I'm so impressed, man. I'm so impressed. Well done.
I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for the support. I believe
Nags, I got a
Hansen.
question for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
I was going to ask, just with Dijon Stribling going, like we talked about him as your draft crush. Yep. But that was like a day 3 draft crush.
Well, you see, I don't. It's so funny you say that because somebody on, I believe it was our Facebook page, was like, next year, can you put where you expect them to go? And I never do that for this very reason, because it's like, Aaron, I don't care where they go. I just like the player, right? Like the 49ers taking him with the very first pick in the second round is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. When it's like the value question is going to be different from room to room, from building to building. Remember that clip of McVay a couple years ago when, I can't remember who it was. I can't remember which team took him, but somebody took a player in the first round and they were like, they didn't have a first round pick. And they said, I think it was the Patriots. And then he said, well, we wasted all this time watching film on him thinking he was dropping to like 110, right? And he was taken in the top 32. It's just different. The value part of it is so, I'm not going to say skewed, but it's so different depending on what they expect of the player in their system, in their program. So I just look at the player. And if I like the player and I love how he competes, how he plays, where I think he's going as far as his growth, I don't care where they're going to go. I just love the player itself. So, yeah, I'm not surprised, especially the 49ers with the issues they've had at receiver. Man, that's a kid who I think will come in and contribute right away, will be able to. I think the sky's the limit for him in that offense. Like, that's scary for the rest of the league.
I love that. That's fair. That's totally fair.
Just how I roll, man. Just how I roll. Ken Hansen has his hand up. What's up, Ken? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Hey, first of all, I've got America's number one. All right. Yeah, should be. Second, unlike Lieutenant Dan, I haven't done any research. But in fact, I came on and you guys were talking about the Reed contract, and I'm like, what?
So you're real.
So then I heard about. So then Soder kind of briefed me on it, and I guess my question is this: it sounds like a good contract for the Packers, but it seems like this: the fact that they got him sort of put away for a little bit, and at that price, do you think that helps with the Christian Watson negotiations?
Yeah, I don't know if it really even touches them. It's a decent question. I get the question, but there's such different receivers, and they play such different roles and have different effects on the offense. I don't know that it's so much like affects the negotiation in itself. I think they've identified Reed as a core member of their offense, of their team. I think they've identified Christian the same way. They just have very different roles in the offense. That said, does it kind of, protect them a little bit if they can't reach agreement with Watson? They play through the year. Watson has a monster year, right? And he ends up walking. Yeah, it's possible, right? And then they're kind of okay, or at least have Reed in the fold a little bit. You know, it guards against it a little bit, but they're such different players. I can't imagine one has too much
I would
to
think
do with
price-wise, there's a big difference between.
Oh yeah, I think Watson's going to get a much. Right.
Yeah.
I think Westen's going to get a much more significant deal, would be my guess.
But it does got to give them a little bit more comfort and make them a little more less nervous in negotiating with Watson. And I think Watson's agent's got to kind of sense that to some degree. Now, he may not care. He may be, okay, if we don't
Right.
pay our price, we're just going to go elsewhere. So, yeah.
And of course, you've got the injury history working somewhat in your favor if you're the Packers, because if you're Watson, with all the games he's missed, you have to think like, okay, whatever the deal is that they're offering or they put in front of you, you want to get that guaranteed money before you hit the field again and potentially lose games, miss out on production, etc. That's kind of, always going to be the question if you're the player. But yeah, man, I think I suspect they will still extend Christian sometime before the start of the season, and it will be a big deal. This is my guess.
Have we heard anything on that contract at all?
Nope, not a word, which is how the Packers like it. I mean, look no further than the Reed deal. I had no idea they were talking to Reed.
Oh, okay.
And that got done, So that's how the Packers like to operate. It's very much going to be a surprise when it happens, most likely.
You didn't get it. You didn't get any asides from policy the other night?
No, nothing dropped, nothing learned, buttoned up over there.
That was a great interview, by the way.
Thank you so much.
I listened to it this afternoon. I couldn't yesterday, but that was very well done on your side, and I thought on his side. I had known him a little bit because I think I had told you that a friend has done a lot of work with the Packers and worked with him because he was their legal counsel for a while. And I knew he was a good guy, but holy cow, he's really got his stuff together, I thought, just based on that interview. It seemed like he was very thoughtful and very well prepared for everything you asked him. So it was nice.
I couldn't agree more. And thank you for checking it out, Ken. Really appreciate it. And the kind words. Thank you, man. All right, so now we've got Caden McDonald off the board. The Houston Texans taking the defensive tackle out of Ohio State. I know there were some Packers fans who were hoping against hope, really hoping that would happen. Maybe the Packers would jump up, but it did not happen. Obviously, Houston, the rich get richer. Jerry, thanks for the super chat. Can't wait for us to pick 2 unknown offensive linemen. Let's be nice. It's going to be okay, Jerry. Len Beebe with his hand up. What's going on, Len? How you doing, brother?
Don't tell me Dunker's an unknown offensive lineman.
I didn't say it. That's Jerry.
I'm
Jerry
telling
saying
you,
this.
Jerry Dunker, brother. Check him out. That dude's mullet will live on infamy in Green Bay.
Is that who you're hoping for? Is that your crush? Is that what you're pulling for?
Well, so I'm kind of hoping we trade up. I'd like to see us maybe get a D tackle in the 30s and then come back up to maybe around 60 or 70, and maybe Dunker's still there. We can grab Dunker, but that's just me being selfish and greedy. But that's what entitlement town will do to you.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
I know Dunker very well.
Yeah, Dunker looks the part, and I think I'd rather have. Okay, here we go. I'd rather have time for Jordan Love, especially with that new safety in Chicago, that's going to give them more time to get to the quarterback and have Love just eat them up.
I like it.
Give me that fadeaway for 6. That's what Love does. Off that back foot, we're just hitting them in their heart, stabbing them, and making the Iceman melt.
Oh, dude, I love it. I love it. That dude who put that out there, that tweet about how that safety was going to eat on Jordan Love fadeaways. Oh, man, that tweet is going to haunt him for the rest of his life. Because you know Jordan Love is going to continue to throw touchdowns against the Bears, and he's going to do it fading away, and that dude's tweet is going to be referenced for the rest of his life. I can't wait.
Infamy.
Totally.
I'm in New York in 2 weeks. I'll hit you up.
Yeah, dude. Let me know. It'll be sweet.
Okay.
Thanks, Len.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, brother.
See you. Thanks for everything.
Thank you. Newt, I got a question for you. As far as we just saw, McDonald go, are there any defensive tackles you think could possibly be in play at 52, or do you think we're going to be picked kind of bare by the time we get there?
I don't have faith that Christian Miller's going to be there at 52.
That's the one, right?
I would love, I'd love for him to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the top 3 gone, Which I want to like pop on my pedestal a little bit. That was my top 3 for the CHTV draft guide.
There
So
you
I'm
go.
happy about that. Not the right order, but the top 3. But no, I think there's a pretty decent jump down after Miller. And when you get to like your Dominique Orange, your Daryl Jackson Jr., your Grayson Halton, maybe Grayson Halton, but yeah, I think Miller's the guy, and I'd love for him to be there. I'm just kind of like
it's hard
waiting
to
and
think
hoping his name doesn't come.
last that long, right? Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, but
and also
every time Christian Miller's name, I was gonna say every time his name doesn't get called, that's also Derek Moore and Gabe Akis and Colton Hood and all those guys staying on the board.
Unfortunately, Colton Hood just went. I was just gonna say. Unfortunately for Lieutenant Dan.
I just saw it. Damn it.
Well, Hood just got taken by the Giants, so they take him off and now. But it's interesting because what do we got so far as positionally, right? So far we've got obviously we had the wide receiver to start, and then we had guard, edge, D tackle, corner. So there hasn't been anything close to a run on any position yet. Like there's picking them off one by one. So
yeah,
I don't mind that continuing. Like let's get some more offensive players in this mix, but I don't mind as long as there's no run on a position of need for the Packers, we should be sitting okay. That's my hope. That's my dream.
I'm wondering now about Jermod McCoy. Really, what's going to be going on with him? It feels like Will Johnson a year ago, where you see this guy just kind of falling through the floor, and he's a guy that I love this film, but the medicals have to be the reason for the holdup for all the teams.
Well, what do you think? That's a kind of an interesting thought exercise too, because if it is, obviously we know the Packers are rarely the ones to pull the trigger on somebody like that. But let's say like the Packers doctors say, okay, we've checked out the injury and we think he's good for at least the length of his rookie deal, right? And after that, you're probably going to be pushing it. Do you do that? Do you think he's good enough to say, this is a team with a window where it's Super Bowl or bust the next 2 years? Let's essentially in Green Bay. Let's go get this hyper talented kid. And yeah, you're taking a bit of a risk long term, but as long as he's on the field for you in years 1 and 2, you're probably going to get a really good, promising player that could help you immediately.
If that's the case, I've got to imagine that with a second round pick, a first round pick, I think is a little bit of a different story, but a second round pick is the case. But if the issue is, hey, Jermod McCoy might not be available this season, then it's, the conversation of, well, we're, kind of hurting our chances by grabbing this guy. So I
feel that,
it's both sides of the coin with it. I'd love to see him, I still have got, I think Cisse, like I said, at the top of it, he's the one I'm kind of clinging on to hope. I think with Cisse, probably Gabe Akis or Derek Moore, and then Christian Miller, like we just talked about. Those are the ones. But I got to think, someone took a shot on Will Johnson, obviously the Cardinals last year, and it looked like it paid off. Man, every case isn't the same, but I don't know.
It's a tough one, and that's why Goody gets paid to make those calls, right? I suspect he'll go before the Packers get the shot, but like I said earlier, like they're rarely the team that's going to who's going to take that swing, right? They're just especially when it comes to medical stuff, they're very rarely in the mix for big time concerns. Yes, they're going to take guys who maybe are coming off an injury or something like that, but they think long term they're going to be fine. But guys with a major injury issue, that's something that they will probably shy away from.
Yeah, I got to think that that would have been the case, and especially with him, having this aggressive of a slide, and I think to follow that up, Tre'Don Stukes coming off right now,
just
6-year senior. He just went off to it was
the Raiders,
before the Browns. The Raiders, yeah.
Raiders, yeah.
Another guy that he played outside cornerback at Arizona, really didn't find his stride there. Switched to nickel, and oh my gosh, the man blew up. But he had I think an ACL tear, season-ending injury last year, and it's another one where the talent's there, but what does that long-term health look like? And I think he's 23, 24. What does that look like for the Packers?
Yeah, they do tend to try. Although it is interesting, you bring up the age component, and it's so funny in the world of the NIL and guys going back to school, and some guys staying for as long as they do. Man, it's so interesting in this draft in particular, where the Packers clearly don't have a first round pick. They have 8 selections. If they do trade back, they are going to be picking from guys who probably, again, it's a bit of a diluted pool there on day 3 because of the idea that guys are staying. I mean, Goody at the pre-draft presser talked about the fact that there are still guys from the COVID year, like, who have stuck around in school. And this is like kind of the final edge of the guys who stuck around through that. But like, that's still happening. Like, guys coming out who took another extra year because of COVID. Like, that's still occurring. That's crazy to me.
Emmanuel Pregnon, probably going to hear his name tonight. Like, 6-year senior. Keontae Scott, 6-year senior. Romello Height, like the guy the Packers brought in.
Yep.
Like, 6-year senior. And it's just some of these guys, it is kind of crazy to see. And I think you're right with NIL. The shift has really happened where, you're preferring those redshirt sophomores, juniors, and you're just seeing so fewer of them in the draft, especially if they're not a bona fide top 50 pick.
Could probably make decent money to really good money just going back to school. So, yeah, which makes sense. I don't begrudge anybody for doing that, obviously. Let's open it up to the gallery. What's going on, folks? How we doing, Packers fans worldwide? We got in attendance. I mean, what I really want to know is Big B. You're here. You're a Packers fan. You're passionate, but I don't know who are you pining for? I haven't seen you online like really pounding the table for anybody. Usually, I feel like most years I've heard from you at this point. Like, you're a mystery to me this year. What's going on?
Well, this year I have done no research into the draft.
Is it because they don't have a first round pick? You were just like, forget it?
Probably. I'm really not even sure why I didn't get into it this year, but I couldn't tell you anything that's going on with any of these players. I'm just hoping for a cornerback, and I'll be fine.
You're like Banky. Like, you sound exactly like Banky. Like, he's been just completely unplugged from the entire draft, like, process thing, whatever, which I get. I totally get. I mean, it's hard to get jazzed up when they don't have a first round pick, and the draft itself has not been, insanely hype, usually because there's not a ton of big name quarterbacks. But how did you feel about the Jaden Reed signing? You excited about that?
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I love Jaden Reed. He's a big part of this offense, and he's a dynamic player with the ball in his hands. I'm excited to see a healthy year from him, and I think he can be a real contributor to bringing a Super Bowl home this year.
That's it. That's what I like to hear. Hell yes. Good to see you, Big B. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
You too.
I think I saw Joseph Randall. Are you in the house? I think I saw him.
Hey, I'm here.
There he is. What are we thinking, big guy? Who's your pound the table if he's there at 52 this year?
Honestly, and you guys and Newt touched on it. You got guys with medical issues, older guys, but you did bring him up, Emmanuel Pregnon, either him or the Jennings dunker, because
yeah.
Like I mentioned last night, Goot's both Goot and LaFleur have to realize that there's a little bit of a fire under the seat right now. And we don't have time to really play around with projects that you may not live to see them come to fruition.
the fruition, right? Right.
So I'm trying to protect Jordan Love. We've got enough weapons. Last year, Josh Jacobs had his worst yards per carry. And I thought with the Aaron Banks signing, when I first heard it, I was like, he doesn't really fit what they're trying to do. And then with the other complicated issues on the offensive line, it's like we're moving the ball, but we're not moving the ball. So if he happens to slide again, if he's having a rough time, we don't have anybody else in the pen to just come up and play right away. So I'm looking at Pregnon, I'm looking at Dunker, somebody who can come in on the interior and protect Love, but also pave the way for Jacobs, who probably has maybe 2 more years left in Green Bay before we're looking for younger talent. everybody else, I mean, the cornerback room, it's deep-ish, but we don't really have a class on the front where like we can get somebody in the third, fourth, fifth round where they're serviceable right away. These are guys that maybe 2027, 2028 at best, they're maybe ready to start. So protect Jordan Love, have Jacobs back up to speed, and we'll ride with what comes from that.
Love this. I love this idea. I'm fully on board, Joseph. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Always appreciate Joseph and all our Patreon members, Carry the G Club members here at Cheesehead TV. I think Jerry Mannion had his hand up, I believe. Jerry, how are you, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing all right.
Got a few of my own draft crushes I'm watching at 52. Lee Hunter's one of them. I've liked him quite a bit. I think he's a monster.
Baby. Let's go. The draft nerds don't like
him, but I love
him.
No, I think he's a disruptor. And I think in a 3-4 base, I think he's got a lot of versatility. Cisse, I mean, I do like Cisse. I think he'd be a lot of fun to have there. And then Everett, I do like Everett. I don't think 52 will be Everett, but I'd like your draft crush of Everett. I think he's a guy I like to watch out for.
And it's just, the Packers love Bulldogs and could totally fit right in and play and dime right away. So it's like, I would hope if he's available that they pull the trigger at some point, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then the last one is Rodriguez, that linebacker.
Oh, yeah. I don't know
if you like him. I think he'll be gone soon.
I do too. Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know if they'll have a shot at him, but I do like the player. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I've got many others, but those are the three I'm really kind of watching, hoping, fingers crossed kind of thing. So we'll see.
Watching them fall down the board. Appreciate you, Jerry. Thanks so much, man.
Of course. Thanks.
Let me go back to Newt real quick here. Newt, how do you feel about Lee Hunter? I know, like I said, there are a lot of draft nerds who are not high on him because he falls somewhat in the middle of, he could be a classic nose tackle, but he's not really that at the NFL level versus, we're going to put him as a 3-4 D end, but he's not quite as athletic as you'd like him to be, especially for a 3 tech. Where do you fall on him?
I had the same grade on Lee Hunter throughout the entire process. He's like number 60 on my board. So I wouldn't mind him at pick 52. To the guys that say like, hey, he's not a true nose tackle, that man led the league over the last 3 years in total stops on run defense. Like we're talking about nose tackle? Obviously. Yeah, I mean, he did it at UCF. He now did it at Texas Tech. Well, he didn't lead it individually this year. Obviously, that crown goes to Caden McDonald, who's an absolute freak and deserved to go where he did. But Lee Hunter, the body of work that he was able to put forward over 3 years, I mean, the man's got the nickname the Fridge. Like, obviously, a little bit of a nod to another defensive tackle who.
Oh, that'd be great. Because then we could, if we took him and then we called him the Fridge, and then Chicago fans would be mad, and especially after the Iceman thing. Oh God, now I want it even.
Dude, they got so pissed about the BJ Raji with him, and like, we were there first, and yeah, whatever. Oh. But I like Lee Hunter. I think that he kind of fits in that range. I think he'd be a great addition because, like you said, the athletic testing wasn't there, but you see some really great movement with him with an initial first step that I think is explosive. And while it doesn't translate to his athletic testing, I think he's a guy that knows how to do it on the field. And so I do like Lee Hunter. I love that for a draft crush. I think he's kind of gone full circle where after the Senior Bowl, people are like, you're never going to get him at 52. Hunter, right? I was putting mocks out and people were like how could you draft Lee Hunter here? That's stupid. You're never going to get him. And now people are like, why are you taking him at 52? He's a 3rd round pick. And so he has gone the entire circle.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I would love it as a selection. I'll tell you what, this is my other hot take. I have one major hot take tonight that I got to get off before we approach the Packers pick so that if it does occur, I can laugh about it. So, they brought in Washington from Arkansas, right? The running back. And he was one of their pre-draft 30 visits. I am not exactly holding my breath, but I would not be surprised if he's the pick at 52. And I know the internet would melt down. The draftniks would absolutely lose their minds, probably yourself included. But I would A, laugh, and B, love watching him in the Packers back. That's just me. Again, like I always talk, we were talking earlier, I don't care. The value thing, I don't care. I want good players. I want players I like, and I fucking love this player.
I don't like him as much as a prospect, and I think that's kind of where I get hung up. I understand the want to bring in a running back. Mike Washington Jr. He's not my cup of tea. He's fast as get out. Obviously, like you saw it at the combine, you saw it at the Senior Bowl. When that man gets in the open field, it is lights out. I personally think he struggles to get in the open field, but like I understand that if like, hey, this is a guy that can be a difference maker, can be a really good compliment to Jacobs and obviously heir to the throne in that regard. I like it. I honestly at this point with Micah Parsons, anything that has us, like you said, the next 2 years being more dangerous, I am all for.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You talk about being the heir apparent. I do think there would be, if they made this selection, it would indicate to me, yeah, Jacobs is probably in his last year in Green Bay because there is going to be a discussion about his contract next offseason. Like this season, we're good, but next offseason, that is going to be a conversation piece. And I got to think, give whoever that might be a year working in tandem / behind him, and then let him ascend to running back one potentially. And I know people are going to talk about Marshawn Lloyd, but that is a total, absolute 1,000,000,000% lottery ticket at this point. You cannot count on that in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, man, like I said, I think they like the player. I doubt they make the pick at 52, but if they do, I am going to laugh and I'm gonna have fun.
No, I get that. I think, like I said, if it was Mike Washington Jr. at pick 120, I'd be all for it. And I know, you just want your guys, and I respect that. I think there are other guys I'd take before that, but speaking of other guys, Christian Miller just went. 42. Broke my heart.
Those defensive tackles coming off the board, as Ted Thompson said, the good Lord only made so many.
Oh my gosh, that's the truth. Cassius Howell went also, and actually Cassius Howell and Arch Mason Thomas went boom boom, which is kind of funny because they are very similar play styles, smaller, undersized edge rushers.
Yeah, and then Miller to the Saints. Not a big fan of that one. Let me get back to the gallery. I think I saw Soder had his hand up. I want to make sure I hit Eeyore number 1 here. Is Soder still with us?
I was just going to say no, I was just going to say they needed to move up at that point, and they didn't do it.
No, they did not.
And crushed.
Were you hoping for Miller? Is that your guy?
Yeah, I was hoping for one of the tackles, right?
Right.
Yep. And that was it, because I knew they had to get in front of Miami, because Miami's going to take everybody that we think we want.
Right. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. Well, a lot of talent still on the board, Soder. I love it. Thank you, Soder. Appreciate it. All right. So we got Miami on the clock. 2, 3, 4. So we got 10 picks. 10 picks until the Packers are on the clock. My goodness gracious. Can't even believe it. 10 picks, people. And I see the man, the myth, the legend. We got Doug Hype in our midst. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cannot believe it. Doug, how are you tonight, brother?
I'm so fantastic. We are on a countdown to Brandon Cisse right now. We're going to get a real cornerback.
Okay, all right.
And we're going to celebrate. You're going to see your Instagram's going to be full of celebration. People popping some carry the G's.
Carry the G's. There we go.
Right
baby.
Here.
Love it.
Love it. What I'm saying?
I see it. I love it.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but we had a drinking contest at Ramager's show last night, and I drank carry the G's all night.
Gosh,
you know what I'm saying?
No. There you go.
Yeah, it was a good time. The mayor of Green Bay. I don't know if you know this, but that man can drink.
Yeah. See, now I got a bone to pick with that whole designation because we all know Kyle Kuzno is the mayor. Like we maybe mayor, maybe deputy mayor. Like, but
they might not have. They might have to have a drink off to determine this because I don't know what better way you have.
That's a very, very good idea. But
we could say it right on the show, right? Let's have it. Can you host it on CHTV? Because that would get viewership.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I mean, nothing better than watching two dudes drink beer. Like that's hot content, as everybody knows.
I mean, isn't that the theme of this draft? We got Demoski going like meltdown mode. We've got Ramage doing drinking contests on the show. It's like,
let's do it, man.
It's all time to be alive.
Did Rob melt down?
Well, no, just he talked about his meltdown. The stories,
yes.
The fun yesterday you had.
Good times, very good times, no doubt about it.
There's so many good.
Cisse are you looking for? What? And Rodriguez.
The thing is, a lot of people don't want Lee Hunter, right? So, I'm scared we're going to get him, and he's going to turn out to be a slow Gary type thing, where he's just not athletic enough. I'm worried about that.
Impactful.
Pons is there though. D'Angelo Pons might be okay at cornerback.
Oh yeah, you think so?
Are you feeling cornerback right here? Pons and Cisse maybe right there.
I think Cisse I'm in on. At Pons I'm up and down on, but if they made the selection, I'd be thrilled. It's their call, it's their world. I'm down with that idea. It's there's got to be come in and compete right away. There's no doubt about that.
There's got to be a 69% chance that Jenny Dunker is in a Packers uniform by the end of the day.
See, that's where I thought for sure that's where you were going to go because, you were talking mad stuff about the need for better O-line.
Dude, I'm growing out the locks for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get the Dunker. What do we call it?
Dunker? Jennings Dunker? The mullet? Ready to go.
I mean, it would be amazing if he was a Packer. We need Iowa linemen on our team, sir. We need that.
I mean, we need Iowa prospects in general. I'm all in on that. I talked about this last night.
Just get the whole Iowa team onboarded just to bring him in.
They just produce good football players, and I'm fine.
We should be contributing to Iowa's NIL forms. You know what I mean?
Right.
Donate to Iowa's NIL, and then to tell them, hey, buddies, you can have more NIL at the Packers. Come over here. It's great.
This is such a good idea. It's like a pipeline.
Then the colors aren't that different. And I'm a Wisconsin alumni saying this, who's supposed to bitterly hate Iowa, but I love
right
when we get there. Yeah, but I love them. It's like love. It's like a brother. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing. You don't want to root. You can't bring in Wisconsin products at this point. That program's just going off the rails. Until that thing.
What is it, Ryder? The D end they might get in later in the draft. He did okay at one of the Senior Bowls.
Yeah, no doubt. Possibility. I'm just not in on.
There's just a lot of
Badgers.
Well, Minesweeper. When you click on the things and you hope you don't get a bomb. There's a lot of guys in this draft. There's a lot. Nags. There's a lot of guys in this draft like that. Where you're
such a good analogy. Yes.
There's a lot of Minesweeper going on. Like German McCoy. Do we want to be like the Vikings and bet on a high upside guy and who might never play and just be injured all the time?
Constantly injured. Oh, and Derek Moore.
Just Skylar Bell and wide receivers.
Oh, Lord.
Ooh.
Good players.
Oh, boy.
Not a fan.
Good players come off the board. And there's a lot of wide receivers that are not that great. They could take care of. I hope they don't go, Skylar Bell. He used to be a Badger. I don't want him.
That ain't going to happen. Absolutely.
I don't want no Skylar Bell. I don't want a safety right now. I don't want a nickel cornerback.
See, that's the funny part, too. Is everyone talks about their safety group is deep, probably one of the deepest parts of the team. And I wouldn't be surprised if they took a safety. Just if it turns out it's the best value, best player on their board, etc. Everyone will melt down, but
I mean,
wouldn't surprise me.
Seattle has shown that having these quick guys that can tackle and then secondary is a good thing to have, right?
Hey, that's the key right there. That can tackle. I'm down with this idea. You mean tackling the ball carrier? I don't know, man. I don't know if it'll catch on.
Well, I'm going to tell you my draft darling, who I love, is Willie the third, the cornerback out of Texas A&M, and that guy can hit. All 6'1", 200 pounds of him. He lays, dude. If you know when we run these like cute little wide receiver screens and they blow him up? Well, when you throw a swing pass or wide receiver screen, he's like, thank you for that. And he takes your head off.
I am down with this idea. Let's go.
So like if we get Will Lee the third in like the fourth round or third round, I am like, my hair's on fire. My pants are coming off. Like his signature is going to be next to Jeff Query.
I mean, talk about a legend. You'll be happy to know they brought in Will Lee for a pre-draft visit. Yes. One of the 30 visits. So,
I was monitoring every move. You know, I got my knocks out. By my knocks out, I'm like, Will Lee the third's in town.
You're like Luke Skywalker.
Can we have somebody that can tackle on the team? Do I have a setting here? Can we find somebody out there that can tackle?
Tacklers only, please.
Tacklers, a corner. Look, even if the cornerback we get can't cover, but they can tackle, it's still a kind of an upgrade here.
That ain't gonna happen. No. Although, how could you tell in the Packers secondary? You know, he'd fit right in if you can't cover. So that's.
Well, there's a bunch of like 6'2" cornerbacks that are like okay in coverage, maybe not great, but they still are good enough, and they can tackle, right? Like Neal and these guys, like they're out there, and we've been salivating. We're like, oh my god, look at these highlight reels, bro.
See, that's Can you imagine? We're all just watching highlight reels, and we're not really watching the tape.
I know.
Things down, you know, that's the problem. If we did a little bit more, breakdowns and actual deep dives, you'd probably be a little more nonplussed about some of these guys. But I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a lot more fun when you just kind of go with it and see who the Packers take, and then go, okay, that's the newest Green Bay Packer. Time to get on board.
That's the motto this year is we're just going to be excited no matter who they take, even if it's like a backup tight end or a safety or whatever. It doesn't, you know what I mean?
I'm down with you.
We just need good, okay. So I talked to Eli, we had him on our pod, and Eli, Book of Eli Bergovitz, he's fantastic. And he's like, Doug, we just need to draft good football players, guys with great upsides, fine and everything. We have that, but can we just get guys that are actually good at football and look good on tape and they know what to do? And I was just like, dude, you're preaching to my choir. You're in my choir.
I mean,
I said it on CHTV, in the happy hour, remember?
I do. I distinctly remember. Very much so.
Even if they're not starters, right? If we just get depth guys that can come in and do some nice work, like Jennings Dunker, say you draft him and he's a guard and he doesn't start. Anybody that goes down on the line, he could probably step in and do a pretty damn good job.
Well, that would be the hope. I would be interested to see training camp and his battle most likely with Anthony Belton, which would be my guess. If he were to be drafted, I bet he would battle it out with Belton there at right guard.
I want to love Anthony Belton so bad, but the reach blocking and all the things that he can't really do is like, I'm worried about it a little bit.
Now, again, and he ran at tackle all last summer, right? And then they threw him in at guard in the middle of the year when he hadn't run at guard, and he was very much thrown into the fire. So give him an offseason. See how he comes into camp.
I think there's a place for him on this team, Nags. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a man that used to play for the Packers, and I played against him in high school. He went to Racine Park. His name's Kevin Barry, the U71 package. You know what I'm talking about?
Jumbo, baby. Let's go.
Jumbo, U71. Bring him in and bring in the big boys. You put in Belton at tight end, bro, they're decimated. You know what I'm saying? Run them over.
That has been Kennard's kind of ballywick, but I like this idea. I like Belton as a tight end going out there and just demolishing the edge. I'm down with it.
Kennard did run dudes over and then he fumbled, but I was like, hey, you know what? He fumbled, but like that, he ran over 3 guys first, okay? So I'll kind of forgive you a little bit there, right? You know what I mean? If you run over half the defense,
only because the ball went out of bounds. If the ball doesn't go out of bounds there and the Bears get it back, then I'm not forgiving. But fate was
but still, if you run over half the defense, you're kind of giving them a little bit of pass, right?
Truly.
The dude can rumble. He's like Jerome Bettis out there. So,
no doubt.
Those are our secret weapons, but you got to use them at the right time.
Yeah, they kind of did.
They're not like Belton might not be a starting guard in the NFL long term. He might not be, but he is a big boy that can come in at certain times when you need that to push the line and get it around. And I'm not blaming, it's not his fault that he's just good at certain things. He's good at certain things.
I'm
taking men to the ground, pancaking them.
We're parking our cars in the same garage. I appreciate it. I like it. Doug, you're a legend. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Okay, I'm gonna go drink on Matt's show now.
All right, we'll come back to you next time you're up. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I'll come back. I'll come back.
Tell Matt I say hi.
I will. The whole crew is over there drinking. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later.
Later, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Let me get back to Newt here real quick because, man, we got some names coming off the board here. We last time we jawed, Newt, we had Christian Miller going and we were despondent. And then since then, it's been Jacob Rodriguez, Derek Moore, and Zion Young. All the dudes coming off the board right now, dude.
Dude, Derek Moore. It's not that Derek Moore went. That's not the problem.
Yeah.
It's the fact that Derek Moore went to the Lions.
Lions, right.
And I swear to God, Dan Campbell's Lions over the last 4 years have been drafting every single player that I absolutely love. And I've like, it's so tough to hate that team because I love the guys on there players, individually.
Right? Yeah.
I love so many of the players. And it's like, damn, like Jamison Williams, Aiden Hutchinson, you see Tyleik Williams last year, both cornerbacks. And it's just like, they keep doing it over and over.
I like Brian Branch coming out. You know, it's like,
oh, yeah.
We almost had him, and then we traded. Not that it didn't work out well. You know, worked out well for the Packers, but I totally hear you. Like, they've drafted some dudes over there. So, yeah, that's disconcerting.
Yeah.
And Zion Young going to the Ravens, that's just annoying. Ravens always got
they keep picking up the dollar bills that everyone leaves laying around.
I know. It's so true. Okay, so we are what? We got one. I think the pick is in for the Bucks. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks away for the Packers. Who are you looking at on your board, on your best available positions of need, etc.? When you're looking at the Packers, provided they don't jump up here in the next couple picks, which is entirely possible, maybe to get in front of the Vikings or something. But given where they're at, Newt, where do you see kind of this potentially falling here over the next 5 picks or so for the Packers?
Cornerback's still sitting pretty. So you've got Jermod McCoy, which big giant red flag. Where that you can't ignore that. But
Injury
Brandon Cisse, D'Angelo Pons, very small, probably won't be a Packer, but hopefully there's another team that would love to have him. And then Avion Terrell. So I think the board is really thick with those guys. Gabe Akis is still sitting on the board as a high-end edge that I think could kind of like cap it off, but he's like the last one in this group now that we are kind of joking like, hey, there hasn't really been a run. And then after that, you had R. Mason Thomas, Cassius Howell, Derek Moore, Zion Young all going. And so there have been a lot of really good edge prospects going in the first half of this. So I like Gabe Akis a lot. I think that he could definitely be in play. Dominique Orange and Lee Hunter both as well. And then I'm not going to do him any disrespect because people love Jennings Dunker. And I do think that Jennings Dunker would be an awesome addition. I question what he looks like next year for a Packer in terms of that 2-year window. Because I've got a little more faith in Belton in terms of like playing a guard.
Totally feel you.
But, the minute that an offensive lineman gets injured, it completely gets exposed. So,
I look at how many games last year got affected because of that. You can go back to the playoff game in Philadelphia where one injury completely decimates them, And then you look at the Cleveland game this past year. Zach Tom lasts one play. Everything gets jumbled up, and it's a complete fire drill for the remainder of the game. Like, that's why I have rarely had issues when they've taken anybody along the offensive line. The Dunker thing is interesting because I know it's very much about the aesthetic and people love the mullet and all that stuff. I think he's a good player, but let me know what you think. But I'd be surprised if he's the pick at 52. I would think if he's still hanging around early 3rd round, maybe they jump up and get him, but I'd be very surprised if they pull the trigger at 52 on him.
I think here's the thing with Dunker. Like, he can play, I'm not saying he can play left tackle, but he can play 4 spots along the offensive line. And in a pinch, he can play tackle. I mean, he played 3 years of right tackle at Iowa. Once again, aesthetics aside, he's a big dude that knows how to move into space. I think that obviously you want to slide him inside because he's not the greatest on an island, but like you said, like if this is a guy that you're bringing in to kind of be that, I like that. Do I want him at 52? He'd probably be more of like your safety school when you're playing to college. Like, yeah, I'll take that.
Right.
It's not my reach school, but yeah, that's cool. Like, I'll gladly take that. I don't see a world. And once again, I didn't think DeJon Stribling was going 33. So don't take my word for anything as far as a prediction. But I don't think he lasts till 84, unfortunately. So I think it's the thing where, hey, maybe it is a trade back, but I think Dunker, if you're looking for a guy, to your point, where you've got that Band-Aid for inevitably when things down,
things happen, right? Addition. Yeah, and there's something to be said for if you like the guy, just take him. Like if 52 feels too rich, but you love the player and you can't find, say, a trade partner, you can't drop down and get a pick or whatever. Yeah, maybe they do. Maybe they just pull the trigger. Let's say the craziest stuff in the world happens and they don't take a corner. And I think defensive tackle is probably off the board at this point until later in the draft, but you never know. But let's say it's not corner. Where else could you see them going if it's not like, say, one of those guys that it was funny because we've talked about this, right? Where it felt like going into this draft that cornerback was probably going to be part of a bit of a sweet spot when the Packers were picking at 52. Yep. So far, it feels like that's materializing, but anything can happen here in the next 4 or 5 picks. But outside of corner, where would you potentially see them going?
Yeah, it's tough because I think the board's actually pretty good for like linebackers right now with Josiah Trotter, CJ Allen, Anthony Hill Jr. Do I want that? Not necessarily, but I think that with Zaire Franklin coming in, and I don't know, you know his contract better than I do, but is it a 1-year thing? Is it a 2-year thing? Obviously, you want a guy that you can pair up really well with Cooper, but it's kind of fat
Trotter,
right there.
And Trotter just went to the Bucks.
Oh God.
So, off the board.
There
you go.
Hey, another guy I had top 32. I really like Josiah Trotter. I'm for him as a player. I'm really glad he went because I think he's an awesome linebacker. But I think that, man, I don't know what. So wide receiver, like we were just talking about Jaden Reed, but there's a lot of good wide receivers on the board right now. Right. Bryce Lance, Antonio Williams. Elijah Surratt, who's probably not their cup of tea because he's not this freaky athlete, but man, he is a pro-ready wide receiver who just understands how to win. Chris Bell, I can kind of like jump down a little bit with Zachariah Branch, who's very redundant to Reed, but there's other guys that exist in here where wide receiver, I think is kind of becoming a pretty rich group right now.
I would love it just for the meltdowns online, which would be a lot of fun. I know Joseph has his hand up. Joseph, what's up, man? I know you've probably got some ideas here as far as who you think they could be circling here in about 1, 2, 3, 4 picks. What's on your mind, Joseph? Who are you targeting? Who are you looking at? What do you think's going on here?
I'm still beating the drum for Pregnon and Dunker. There's only one team in front of us that needs an offensive lineman, and that's I'm get my camera right. The Vikings. So I just don't see I mean, obviously we're gonna cry about it in a few minutes, but I just don't see a world where they just bypass these players because corner, yes, I get, but there's gonna be a guy on the board, and it could be a McCoy. If Goo loves to take his 3rd round gambles. If he wanted to take a gamble on McCoy in the 3rd round, I'm cool with that.
But I'd be surprised, that'd be great.
You got Chuck Demmings, who's probably not going to come off around that time. I can't think of his name from Arkansas. Julian Neal. You've got so many other. Everybody likes Everett, but I was watching Bukowski, and he made up a good point. If you look at all the wide receivers you like, and they look at their highlight reels, guess who's covering them? And I was so I think right now, an offensive lineman, and to your point, and to Newt's point, if we lose one dude, literally one dude, I mean, Kenner plugs in, and then after that, you got nothing. You got a Jacob Monk, who, I mean, Goot reaffirmed faith in, but I don't know about that.
Well, he's always gonna gas up his guys in public. He's never gonna say anything bad about them. So you got to take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, so we're one injury away. We're one injury away,
you, man.
and then things get real. So, and like New said, Dunker's safe, and this is a draft where you play it safe. These are guys that a year ago, next year, would probably go a round and a half later. So when you think about what you got waiting in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, it's not there this year. You're taking dudes that maybe had they declared a year later, a year earlier, they may be an undrafted free agent. The undrafted free agents of this year probably won't get a camp invite if they went somewhere else, so I like safe. And right now, given Goot and LaFleur's predicament, they need safe. They need, I can rely on this guy, because if you take some risk, you may not live to see it.
You're not wrong there. I think that's a prevailing thought on the outside. You can never really be sure inside the building, but that what you're saying conceptually makes perfect sense. No question about it.
I'm not gonna lie. I love the Julian Neal call out from Joseph. I think that when I look at my guys, I've got Julian Neal graded right alongside Brandon Cisse, Colton Hood, but I know consensus wise, and Avian Terrell just went to the Falcons, which is fine.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Here comes the cornerback run. By the way, here it comes.
Oh man, right it needs to delay a little bit. But I love Julian Neal. I think that he is awesome. If it ends up going somewhere else, and maybe like a Gabe Backus, or the Jennings Dunker, Emmanuel Pregnon, and then you circle back for Julian Neal at pick 84, I would live with that. I'd be more than living with that. I'd love that for a day 2 for the Packers draft.
I love it. Well, so now we've got 3 picks to go for the Packers are on the clock. Newt, do you mind taking some questions from the gallery while I grab a beer real quick? Because I have got to be hydrated when the Packers are selecting. I can't be without a beverage, dude. That's all I'm saying here.
I would love to. I'd love to take some questions from the gallery.
I will be right back. Guys, fire away with your questions for Newt, your draft questions, because he actually knows this shit in the way I don't. I'll be right back.
What do we got?
Right, Monte Capehart, where does he fall, Newt? I mean, is he like a notch below the Oranges, or is he equivalent on the tier?
I think he's a notch below. I like the way that you put that in there. For me, I think Capehart, he's a 6-year guy. We were kind of joking about those guys before. And with him, he's kind of been that guy that's been there. He's never been bad, but he's never like really blown up, but obviously has made the most of his pre-draft process. He's another guy that, as much as Aaron doesn't like to talk about him, where they go, I do. Like if we were grabbing him with 153 or 160, I'd love it. If that's kind of our way of finding that big guy in the middle. Because I think there are a handful of guys that exist above him, but I think that he can be kind of a nice safety guy for you. Obviously not the position, but the pick for someone that all right, well, we didn't get our guy in the middle. That's going to be a little bit earlier. We wanted to go a different route. So now we're going to grab a Capehart that can be a really good rotation guy.
Hey, Newt, what are we thinking with McCoy? I know we're talking about a run on cornerbacks. Does he seem like a fit with the Packers? Where would you see him? going if there's still this run on cornerbacks.
The problem for McCoy is something that's just completely outside of the film and probably what I have access to. There's a guy that tested extremely well, ran a 4.4, had a 38-inch vert last year. Last year he didn't play, obviously, but in 2024, did everything you wanted him to. He played really well in zone and man coverage, forced damn near 20 in completion percentage, and like did all of the things that you could possibly ask for. I think with him, it's one of those things where, unfortunately, I'm not privy to the information, but it's got to be medicals at this point. So I kind of wonder, how bad is the knee? And what I've heard is it's not even the ACL. It's an additional issue with the knee that could possibly keep him out until the fall of 2027. So I love McCoy from what I saw, but if the medicals aren't there, that's going to be a really tough sell at 52. And I think the fall of him is starting to be a little bit indicative of that.
So you think if he's still available, we might take a flyer on him in a later round?
I wouldn't be surprised in a later round, but kind of to the point that Nagler was making with him at 52, I don't think that unless the Packers doctors see something different, I don't think that he is necessarily the answer at pick 52 just because there's got to be something that's going on that is preventing him from getting on the field that we just don't see from the tape.
Yeah, and Lee Hunter just went, so now I'm mad. Lee Hunter goes to the Panthers, which is
you should be,
ungreat.
Be happy about your guy, like to F all the draft Knicks. Like a good football player went, and
exactly.
I'd love for him to be the Packers.
Wreak havoc NFC South, and I can tell everyone I was right. What's even more disconcerting though is that the Vikings traded down right in front of us, so they are picking right before the Packers. And if they take one of my guys right before the Packers are on the clock, they will feel my wrath.
Well, this is getting to the point, and I'm kind of going through it in my head. Like Brandon Cisse is available.
Yep.
D'Angelo Ponce is too small, so I'm kind of unfortunately discounting him. I love D'Angelo Ponce.
I like the player, but I'm with you. I'd be shocked. That's a rare instance where I would be shocked if they took that player. I'm with you there.
Yes, but Gabe Akis and Brandon Cisse. That's one. I'm running through mock drafts and everything. If I get either one of those guys, boom, the button gets clicked and we're good to go. And if we can get past the Jets, with that, where maybe this is Carson Beck right here. Like,
could you imagine? Oh my God,
that would be
funny because
glorious.
I completely forgot about the Matt Miller thing. But you're right. They're looking for a quarterback. He's sitting right there. Oh God, that would be hilarious. Now I really want to see that happen. The pick is in for the Jets. Pick is in for the Jets. The Vikings are on the clock, and the Packers are in the 3 spot. So, we got
If it's not Cisse or Akis, I'll be happy until the point that the Packers don't pick Cisse or Akis, and then I'll be like, well, that's
I never wanted them anyway. I always knew that wasn't going to happen. That's fine. Whatever.
But honestly, like Pregnon and Dunker are there. Like, there are really good football players that are available now. Like, to Joseph's point that he's making, where there are some really talented players here.
Well, here's the other thing too. What if we get there and because of exactly what you just talked about, like there are 4 or 5 names that we'd be fine with them selecting. Do they do their own drop down, get another pick? Maybe drop down 5-6 spots and probably still get one of those guys that we just talked about. Like, that's entirely possible, I would suspect.
I got to think that with the drop down's going to be obviously in their favor. You're not going to just do it to snag a 6th-round pick, but at that point, you got to have, like you said, you're going back 5 spots. You're either got 5 guys in your board or a bona fide guy that someone's not taking or whatever that effect may be. So I wouldn't hate it. I'm indifferent, I think, to the trade back. I'm more so if you got a guy that's there that you like, I'm not willing to dick around with like, let's, make this, because as much as, they say like, oh, we put guys in tiers and buckets. There is Ponce to the Jets. Love it. That's awesome.
Yep.
And awesome for D'Angelo Ponce. Once again, good football player. But like there's a guy that you like. If you like him, I sometimes just want to go up and get him. If the trade is too good, take the trade. But
here's the thing. I just had someone in the chat ask, like, in a supposed, why drop down in a supposed weak draft? And that's a very totally legitimate question. But the thing that I think people have to remember is, like, the finite kind of, I was going to say chasm, but the distance between these prospects as far as A, value, and B, talent is so, let's not say minuscule, but it's pretty thin, right? So in that type of draft, yes, you want to drop down and get more swings at the plate for the chance of finding a player, a long-term starter, a guy who becomes a core part of your team. If you can get 2 or 3 chances at that rather than 1 chance, whether it's in the second round or the fourth round, like, the more chances you have, the better your odds of finding those core players. Like, I understand that everyone expects superstars, all pros, to come in and start right away and be major contributors. The truth is very different. The truth is, if you find 2 or 3 long-term starters in a draft, you have won. That is a win for a front office. And the more chances you have at finding that, the better. Regardless of what we're talking about as far as their ceiling, the talent level, what have you, you want to find. The other thing with the Packers is, especially now that they're paying guys, right? They're finding their core and they're paying them. You need cheap labor. You need cheap hands on deck, and the draft is where you find them, and you get more and more opportunities to find them if you trade back. Now, I say all that, and they're just going to stick right where they are, and they're going to make a pick. I don't doubt it.
I mean, like, I totally agree with that, and to the point where you're making, like, talk about it with a weak draft class. I think draft classes get defined by your first round grades, your top tier talent. And I think this class is so weird because it's not top heavy. It's like that second tier. It's like really fat in the midsection,
in the middle,
which is awesome for a team that doesn't have a first round pick, because I think that the Packers, when you take a look at teams that are picking, I'm not going to say like, oh no, TJ Parker and Caden McDonald, like, oh, whatever.
Okay,
we're going to get a guy.
Go. The Vikings pick is in, so let's get the graphic. Let's do it. The Packers are on the clock. There we go, baby.
Go, Pack, go.
Oh, yeah. There we go, baby. That's how we do it here at Cheesehead TV. Sorry, that's a lot of fanfare, but it's probably going to be a trade out.
No, it's absolutely. But I think that, to that point, this is a really good one to be able to kind of move around in that middle section.
You would hope so, right? Because that is probably, to your point, how this draft ends up being defined. I have zero doubt that certainly there are going to be a number of first rounders who hit. We'll be talking about those guys for a long time, no doubt. But I think the bulk of the talent in this draft is coming here today and early tomorrow. That is my guess.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
It's guys that are solid contributors for teams that might not be all pros.
Yep. And hey, world needs ditch diggers too, as someone once famously said. All right, so here comes the Vikings pick. We'll see who it is. It's Jake Galladay, linebacker out of Cincinnati.
Oh, I like Jake Galladay, but it's not like Jake Galladay, I think, is a reincarnation of Edgerrin Cooper in another class. Like, freaky athlete, great coverage, great downhill burst. I hate that the Packers are going to be playing 2 games a year against him.
Right.
I feel like, God, I saw why am I already forgetting the Vikings GM before?
Oh, the new guy. Or no, the old guy.
No. The old guy.
Right.
Why am I already forgetting his name?
Quessy.
Rick Spielman.
Oh, Spielman.
No, before Quessy, Rick Spielman. So, so I love Rick Spielman as kind of like an analyst and a commentator. I think he's probably one of the guys that, honestly, I've come to appreciate the most. But he made a comment, you rip all these guys down leading up to the draft process, and then come draft day, you fall in love with every one of them. And I feel like that right now. Like, oh man, I love this guy. I love this guy. I love this guy. But Jake Golday, I think he's a really good football player.
Yeah, but he's going to suck now that he's a member of the Vikings. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Green Bay Packers pick is in. The pick is in.
Oh, there it is.
All right, hold up. I know we have a better stab than that. Don't let me down, Trevor. Come on now. We got one more. Hit me with it. Control room. Oh my gosh! Oh no, we it's on the Trello card. Go get it. No, you're right. That's right. Pick is in. Never mind. Pick live coming up. Packers pick live. Really, NFL Network? You're going to go to commercial? You know, every time. Newt.
I got to pull up the feed you're on. I feel like I'm 30 seconds behind with the ESPN feed.
Oh, don't watch ESPN. Watch NFL Network. Always.
It was the first one I clicked on Hulu.
Oh, yeah. No. Always NFL. Always NFL.
All right.
Man, ESPN was a total
try to get there.
train wreck last night trying to keep up. They were so far behind. It was crazy.
It was not good.
Some producer somewhere was getting yelled at. I know that. But yeah, no, the NFL Network coverage is much preferable. And it is funny because, like, you know, now it's owned by ESPN, so eventually this is all going to get merged.
Yeah.
It was weird. I'll tell you what the weirdest thing was watching Daniel Jeremiah on the desk with the ESPN folks prior to the draft last night. That was just bizarre, man. That I can't live like that. That ain't right. Okay.
I mean, and I like DJ a ton, so
do I. Like, such a good dude too. And he's so good at his job. I remember when he first just started like tweeting things out as a former Eagles staffer, and he just found Twitter and just started talking draft on Twitter. So good. All right, come on now. Pick is in for the Packers. Still no word. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me remind you that if you are hoping to watch the coverage on television and watch someone announce it, in this case it would be John Kuhn, announce it live on television, please mute us, turn us off, whatever, because as soon as we find out, we're talking about it. We wait for no man and no draft production. So as soon as this
I see who it is.
It's old. Who is it? Let me know.
It's Cisse.
It's Cisse. Yep, there it is.
Oh,
it's your guy. Look at that. Look at you.
I didn't think it ever happened. The Packers actually picked the player that I want. I'm still sour from Cooper DeJean 2 years ago.
There you go.
But it's come back around, and I am extremely happy right now.
So tell us why. What is it about this player in particular with the Packers and what they do, etc.? I know we got a new scheme that we haven't even heard from the defensive coordinator about yet. But what do you like about the player? How do you think he lands in the NFL in Green Bay? His ability to contribute right away, his strengths. We don't even want to know about his weaknesses. It's vibes only here. Tell us about it. What's going on here?
So take a look at the guy. I think one of the things that stands out to me is his coverage ability, short area quickness. He mirrors extremely well as a wide receiver. He mirrors wide receivers extremely well as a cover corner. I think the versatility when you put him in both zone and man coverage schemes is really solid. And obviously with Gannon playing cover 4, you have that system that might lend itself more to that, but I'm never going to say no to a guy that, hey, just stick on this guy, play some man coverage, and Cisse has shown the ability to do that. I think the chops he's shown in press coverage is a step above what you get out of most college prospects. And for me, that's something that I'm not sure that every guy is going to be able to do, whether it's playing off man cover or only zone coverage. And so I really like that aspect of his game. And then one of the bigger things when you take a look at a cornerback and you talk about it, whether it's PFF or any analytics, the biggest stable metric that they call it is going to be forced incompletion percentage and ball skills. He had over a 20% forced incompletion percentage last year, where You look at Mansour Delane, 31%, ridiculous. But aside from Mansour Delane, there is only one player that I have scouted, and that's Davison Igbenbosen out of Ohio State, that had a forcing completion percentage higher. Yeah, and like Iggy has his strengths, also has his weaknesses. But Cisse, does a really good job for that. I will say, and I know you want to be vibes only. One of the things I do want to see him continue to kind of grow in is like just his downhill tackling form. Great run defender, actually, but finishing the play. And I think you get that mentality in there, and I like the mentality. And so with that, I really like his ability to be able to continue to grow and expand upon those weaknesses. And man, I'm so happy right now. This is awesome.
What has his trajectory been in college as far as, coming in, and did he start right away? Did it take him time? Is he one of those guys that, played as a reserve for the most part and then kind of jumped up in the final year? Like, what's his kind of journey been through his college career?
So he is true junior. He spent 2 years at North Carolina State, and then he transferred to South Carolina this year, which great opportunity for him to, and I don't want to disrespect North Carolina State, because I think obviously North Carolina State does create good prospects, but he's been basically a 2-year starter over those. South Carolina newcomer of the spring. And with him, I think that you get a guy that took the most of his opportunities during his sophomore year, where he was really able to shine and become an integral part of that NC State team, and then put it on stage at South Carolina, which I think it's got a little more attention on it. You're going to see a little more focus on this program and what they can do. And, he was probably, alongside Jalen Kilgore, the best defensive back they had. And this is, coming in where Jalen Kilgore was getting a ton of buzz in the summer. And you got a guy like Brandon Cisse, who was this transfer, came in as a sophomore to an ascending junior, and, became, in my opinion, the best part of that defensive back system. So I really like what he's been able to do early on, the youth of him and his, like you mentioned, the trajectory that he's had.
I love it. I saw a number of people with their hands up. I'm sure people have questions, comments, whatever, about the newest member of the Green Bay Packers, starting with Soder, ER number 1. We got a cornerback in the midst. How you feeling? You got any questions for Newt here? What's going on, Soder?
He should be a day 1 starter because the floor is pretty low.
Yeah,
but
fair.
What? So the Google machine says one of his comps is Alexander. What do we think? What are his legitimate comps in the NFL? Who does he compare well to?
So bad. This is like, as a draft analyst, like one of my weaknesses. I'm terrible with it, but I don't hate the Alexander comp. I think the Alexander comp might not be the most appropriate. Obviously, Alexander, when he's on the field, if he was healthy, like, he's such a difference maker. But with Cisse, I think he is a day 1 starter. And I think that's why I was so damn excited about him coming in. Like, he's number 25 on my overall big board. A guy where the biggest thing that I have as a gripe for him is, hey, I need you to finish plays, but you've got the mentality to trigger downhill and be effective on run plays. I think that with him, the athleticism's there. Like, he's a guy that fits a lot of the Packer metrics with the RAS and the athletic testing. I don't have an answer for the comp, but he's definitely someone that ticks a lot of those marks.
Also, John Kuhn made me feel really good about my body type. Thank you very much, John.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'll pass that on, by the way. I'll let John know. Appreciate you, Soder.
I feel seen.
Who else we got? I know we had a couple hands up. I don't want to miss. Andrew Ware's here. What's up, Andrew Ware? Checking in. How you doing, buddy?
What is up? What is up? What's up? What's up? I've got my our first round pick jersey on right here. There you go. That's it. That's all you need right there. That's all we fucking need. You know, I'm excited. I mean, how can you not be, right? How can you not be? This is it's a good pick. You know, it checks the boxes, right? Checks the boxes for the second year in a row, probably. You know, taking Golden in the first last year. You know, but. Soder's right though. He has an opportunity to be a day one starter. He has an opportunity to come in and compete. And that's huge. It's huge. I mean, I don't know much about this guy. I don't know much about South Carolina. You know, watch him play every now and again, but it's not a program I follow. But let's go. Let's go. Let's get him in. God damn, it's got to be better than Valentine was by the end of last year, right? I mean, Jesus, like, come on now. So,
poor Carrington.
Let's be real. Let's be honest about it.
They did continuously try to bench him, and then everyone they brought on for him kept getting hurt. So it was like they just kind of had to go to him by default. So yeah, you're not wrong. I will say what's nice, the jersey you are wearing, Micah Parsons makes anybody better, right? And if this kid can come in and just compete, even if he's not a day one starter, I think he's got a shot to be, obviously. But even if he's just playing a nickel or dime, like you got Micah and Parsons after the first month getting after the quarterback, hurrying quarterbacks up. That's a question I did have for you, Newt. What are his ball skills like? Is he a guy who got his hands on a lot of ball? I know you mentioned the metrics, but did he have interceptions? Did he have plays on the ball? Like, was he big time in that regard? What does that look like?
So he had a pick last year, 7 pass breakups though, and so anytime you get above 5 for that, I'm really excited about it. I'd love to see him, putting a crooked number up there for picks, but ultimately did a really good job of getting his hands on the ball. One of the things that I have written down for him is that he's disruptive at the catch point, whether it be immediately after the catch with the forcing completions, like I mentioned, or the pass breakups. I absolutely want to see a guy that is able to put up 4 picks a year, but where Cisse is, kind of what he's put on tape, I really, really do like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I mean, pass breakups is huge, and as Nagler said, Parsons can create so many of those opportunities, and if he has some sticky hands, come down with some of the interceptions, turn those into picks. I think there's all upside here. Glad to see we sat at 52. Glad to see we didn't trade down or up. Really, I like what we did. I trust Gudikins to shout out real quick to bring in policy on the transplants, man. I fucks with policy. Like after that, I didn't know much about the guy. But that was cool. I like the way that he said fuck the Bears, but not in like a diplomatic,
and not in so many words.
Ben Johnson.
He was much classier.
Like Ben Johnson. I really enjoyed that. Yeah. I was like, okay, you don't like that guy either. Right, good. I'm on board. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it, Andrew. Thanks so much. I want to give Barry Palmer a shout out in the chat, who says he's a cheesehead from South Carolina. Watch the kid play. He is a dog. All right. That's the only scouting report I need. Marshall Duke, thanks for the super chat. Oh man, Pat McAfee is laying it on thick with the selection. LOL. Well, of course he is. You knew that was going to happen. He's there to represent the Colts. It's going to be a little different than your John Kuhn style, that's for sure. Also want to give Stanley Williams a shout out from the Carry the G Club. Thank you so much for the support. Cisse reminds me of J.C. Horn. That's an interesting guy. That's not one I would have jumped to, but I'll take it. I'll certainly take it.
I mean, talk about like a guy that we're getting at 52 that's able to be a cornerback that has that impact. Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't suck.
It does not. It would not, and it does not. Here's the other thing. What, if anything, are his bona fides when it comes to rushing the passer? Was he asked to do it much? Did he do much blitzing? Is he a guy that you think could work into that kind of thing where, Gannon has at times, not the totality of his time as a defensive coordinator, but at times he's gotten a little mad scientist in him, right? Like, he's sent guys off the edge at times, and I'm just wondering if this kid, has any potential there. Not so much that he's done a ton of it, but could you see that being part of his game?
Like I said, I like his ability to play when he's coming downhill in run defense. The finishing ability is separate from that. I think that he could stand to improve in that regard. But honest to God, if it's something where, like, did I see it on tape? No, I didn't. He had, a couple quarterback hits last year when he got into South Carolina's offense, but nothing that necessarily stands out. I think he was asked to do it on like 4 different occasions,
right.
But yeah,
minimally.
But so like the opportunity wasn't really there at South Carolina, but I do like the way that he's able to kind of move towards the line and be effective. Ultimately, like the way that I look at this though is because I really like Keyshawn Nixon in that role when Nixon's allowed to fire towards the quarterback and
get after
I
it
think if you get
in the
a guy
backfield, right?
Yeah. So I think that actually kind of complements what the Packers already have.
I mean, hopefully, right? That's the dream. That is absolutely the dream.
Yeah.
I didn't want to miss anybody if we had some more hands up. I'm not sure. I don't see the gallery, so I'm not sure, but I don't want to leave anyone hanging if folks had questions or comments.
Yeah, nice. My hand is up.
Is that
Yeah.
Hey, Len, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, it's me. You kind of stole my thunder, so I'm kind of coming in this with a little bit of anger because I was going to ask the question about interceptions, and you and I again on the same brainwave as
we're right here, brother. We're right here.
Simpatico. So you stole my thunder with the question. Yeah, because that was going to be it. We need more takeaways, right? That's kind of been a thing the last few years.
I'll say this also, though, like just getting hands on the ball. Like how many times do we see teams paper cutting the Packers to death last year, right? Where there wasn't. That's really what I'm looking for. It's like just compete, like get after the ball. Like Valentine got after it once or twice there towards the end, and it was nice until he got burned in the playoff games because he was being aggressive, but I want a guy who triggers when he knows the ball's got to come out. That's what's really been missing from the Packers secondary in a big way. So here's hoping, right?
Yeah, and this is the first time in I couldn't tell you how many years we've taken a corner this early, right? I mean, what was Jair? Jair was a 3rd-round pick, right?
No. Jair was a 1st-round pick. He was the first
Jair was first round.
Ryan ever made. And then he took Stokes in the 1st round a couple years later. But those were the only 2 kind of premium assets that he's used at that position in the draft. Everything else has been late day 3.
Well, hopefully this pans out. Cisse is the pronunciation, not sissy.
Cisse.
Right? Cisse.
Correct. Cisse. Thank you for the clarity.
Don called him a sissy.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Throw him under the bus.
Yeah, I hear you. Appreciate you guys.
That's what friends do.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So okay. Does Dan have his hand up? Or Lieutenant Dan's got something to say.
Here we are, Nags. So it's only fitting we draft a guy named Sissy and being coached by a sissy, Matt LaFleur. I'm just playing. I'm just joking.
Why? Everyone's having a good time. We're hanging out. You got to come in here with your thunder. Wait, who's your guest? Who we got over here?
Oh, that's my lovely bride. She's poking.
Hey.
Evening. So you're on YouTube.
She was very happy with. She was very happy with the cornerback pick. So as was I, honestly. I'm just kidding. I'm very happy about that. I was rooting for that in the chat. I think I have to take some umbrage with ESPN. All the highlights showed him committing pass interference on everybody. But that maybe that at least he'll be.
That just means he's
a
aggressive.
Very aggressive player.
Just means he's aggressive.
Exactly. So
that's all it is.
Which is something we desperately need on the secondary.
Yes.
Quite honestly,
people who compete. Yes.
Little nasty. And then I just hope the tears were tears of joy and not tears of sadness. So.
You know, why you always got to go negative, man?
I'm just kidding.
Why you got to go negative?
I have a trademark to hold up here next.
What was it Hargrave with the son? I'm forgetting the video.
Yeah,
Jonathan Hargrave was telling his son.
It wasn't his son. It was like a nephew or something like that. But yes, that video was awesome.
And I want to just point out, the last time one of our draft picks balled was Rashawn Gary, and let's not talk about how that ended. So
hey now, let's not talk about how it ended, but he contributed. He got a second contract.
Correct.
And
long-term starter.
Yeah, got.
And we did draft Kevin King in the second round, but I don't want to point that out. So
Kevin King.
Yes, Kevin King.
Right.
We traded down.
Let's not
Kevin
bring that
King.
up. Good Lord.
Let's not
We
go
don't
there.
need that.
Anyways,
Why
cheers.
about that?
My last carry, the G.
There you go.
Carry the G for
Salud.
taking a cornerback. So I am
There we
now
go.
out. So if anybody can get down here to the Panhandle of Florida, I will gladly compensate.
I think
It's a
Soder
good way
could
to end one.
drive it over. That'd be good. That'd be perfect. Appreciate you, Dan.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, sir.
Love the pick.
I was because I was looking back on my timeline for like stuff I've said about Cisse. Bukowski put something out like, who would you love, be fine with, and hate at pick 52? My love was Cisse, and that was earlier today. Fine was Dunker. I want to point that out for Joseph. Like, I would have been fine with Dunker.
Dunker would have been fine. And still on the board
I
as
don't
far
need
as I
to
can tell.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you know,
That would be once again, like I like, actually, you know who I like a lot, and not necessarily the same mold, because I think Dunker you're getting 4 spots out of. Maybe, I mean, honest God, even 5. Jalen Farmer, I think, has been a guy that I've really fallen in love with later in the third round, where you could possibly see him. Left guard out of Kentucky. He'd be a guy that I'd like. JC Davis as well out of Illinois. So I think that, yes, that need to get the 6 offensive linemen that can be a legitimate piece of your team exists.
Yes, 1 billion %.
Yes.
Yep.
And so
totally
I like
agree.
Jalen Farmer, JC Davis. Those are guys that I'm pounding the table for. Even honest to God, with this pick 84, might be a little rich for JC Davis, but to your point, he's just the guy I like. So,
well, it's interesting. The Vikings just traded. This has been rumored and talked about and reported on for a while. Like, this could potentially happen. I know they were talking, and the talks cooled. But their edge rusher, Bernard, went to the Eagles. So clearing the decks there in mini. And again, this is something. It's not. I don't think that's huge. A huge surprise. It's been something that's been talked about for a long time. But yeah, it's always happy to see pass rushers leave the division. Jerry Mannion has his hand up like a gentleman. What's going on, Jerry?
I don't think it'll be a day 2 pick, but I do like that kid they brought in, Ted Hurst, that wide receiver from Georgia State.
Yes, love him.
That kid is a sleeper.
Do you think he's a day
knowing how the Packers operate?
Do you think he's a day 2 guy? Do you think he could go at 84? That feels awfully early, doesn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I think,
you don't think so?
I think 84 is, if you want Ted Hurst, you better get him at 84.
Right. Although I just saw Deshaun Stribling go at like 33, so I guess I should be quiet. Like, anything's possible.
The Sean Stribling at 33 still throws me. But
I think Hurst's talent, I don't think he gets beyond the 4th round.
I agree.
No, yeah, I would tend to agree there. There's certainly upside there.
Yeah, but Hurst, absolutely. And Hurst or Washington, obviously, are going to be my top 2 guys I'd like to see in the 3rd. But obviously, I mean, if Dunker's there,
Washington,
why not?
Right? Let's go on Washington there.
I'm fine. I'm fine with Washington.
Now you're fine with Washington. Hey. You're fine for the rest of the draft. You're just like, I got my guy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at this point. I got my guy.
My dude.
It's happening.
Straight up for him.
So good. Absolutely love it.
Thanks, Jerry.
Appreciate you, man. That's somebody in the chat just sorry, I missed who it was. Just win, BB. How about back-to-back corners? What if they go corner again? Which, by the way,
I said it was Joseph. If it's Julian Neal, If it's Julian Neal, honestly, if it's Willie the Third, love him as well. Dalen Everett, I know you like him a lot. Like those are all guys where there's such a void there. Like St. Just, yeah.
Right.
Carrington Valentine, yeah. Keyshawn Nixon, yeah. They're guys I don't think anyone would argue with, hey, what if we could upgrade that?
Yeah. What if we're
And so,
at least just this is my thing that I keep talking about is like just upgrade the talent floor. Like just build it up, you know, and add competition to the room. Like that needs to happen. I thought it needed to happen last year. And then they took 2 wide receivers and an offensive lineman. So it's like, yeah, man, I'm really hoping I would love back-to-back corners if the board's right.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to reach, but yeah, I'm all for it. And look, you know, Brian Gutekunst point blank twice now has talked about the need for adding to the cornerback room and the need for competition in that room. Yeah, I don't think anybody should be surprised at this selection. And if they do go corner back to back, I don't think that should be a surprise either. Just because, yeah, it's definitely needed, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that it drives the conversation around what do you need to hit on. Like we've kind of talked about edge, defensive tackle. I got a buddy, shout out Mark Vandenavond. A good friend of mine, talked about him with like offensive linemen, and yeah, we love Jennings Dunker, but where does that need really manifest itself in terms of, hey, is this more of a day 3 need? Is this more of a day 2 need? But I think it's the Packers way. It falls down to BPA. It falls down to who's sticking there. And fortunately, my BPA and the Packers BPA happen to be just about the same with 52. And I actually saw I would not have guessed this. Logan Jones, first Iowa offensive lineman off the board.
The Bears.
Center 1. I hate it once again. Like
yes,
it's every divisional team is getting guys I love. Logan Jones is awesome.
Yeah, well,
This is why, if you're a diehard fan of a team, don't become a draft analyst, because you're just like too many of these guys for other teams.
Yeah, it's disconcerting to say the least. I think Ken had his hand up in the gallery. Ken Hansen, are you there? What's going on, brother?
I am. Hey, I was just going to say, sort of along what you just said, Aaron, that I think if you guys always say that Gutekunst's pressers, he never says anything. But if you listen carefully, sometimes he does. And the one thing he did say,
he doesn't lie. He doesn't lie.
We need more numbers at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So, he kind of is hinting away without saying it that, that might be what they're going to take. So, sometimes if you listen closely, that you pick those things up. The other thing is, just reiterating what Newt has said. I just had while they were drafting it, I listened to because I wanted to hear John Kuhn give the draft pick. I turned up the NFL.com NFL Network, and the announcer said right away he tested with 4.1 speed. Now they don't have anything at the combine, but he must have done that at his pro day. But then the announcer said, but he looks on tape like he's faster than that, or 4.41. He's faster than that. I'm like, okay. So that sounds pretty good to me. And then the other thing is, like, the NFL.com thing says he supports the run like a box safety. And I'm like, given the problems they've had with, defending against the run with a cornerback, all that stuff just sounds good to me going forward. So that's all I had. I'm liking the pick, and I didn't really know much about him before Newt talked about him, but everything I'm finding sounds like it's pretty positive for a 52 pick.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Ken, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. I remember when I did his tape breakdown, and then I saw Lance Zierlein of NFL Network talking about. Yeah, he does such a great job, and he was talking about Cisse in terms of his run defense, because it's kind of been something that's been swept under the rug. And I think a lot of it is, what I mentioned with him finishing plays. And, I kind of like asked him, the question for what he thought. And he clipped every play that he had kind of had that impact on. And it was, a really great montage of this is what you want your cornerback to do in run defense. Like this is textbook. And so I think he's got a great basis for that. So like the shout out that you give to him as a box safety, I'm sure is definitely written into NFL Network, influenced by the Jared Lyons breakdown. And I really do think that he's going to be a hell of an addition because of that really well-rounded player that he is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Love it. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate you, man. All right, so now we've got how many selections? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks to go until the end of the second round, and then the third round starts. We have the march to 84. It's going to be interesting to see if there's more trading. What do you think? I thought there'd be more action, there'd be more movement, and there's been a few trades, but I definitely thought we'd see a lot more movement. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, that's kind of like reiterating the point that in the conversation we had at the top of it, where I thought you'd see guys coming up to get their guy. Obviously, like the Vikings trade back. I was like, oh, what are they looking at doing?
Right.
But it hasn't been anything. It's been small stuff, like here and there.
Exactly.
And so I think that I think made the point of we're gonna see a ton of Dolphins picks coming up pretty soon, because let me just count them really quick to make
sure.
Of
Packers types.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 picks they have still in the third round. And there's a couple teams that are like that. I thought they would fire off the arsenal. But they haven't. They've been kind of willing to sit and hang out and see what happens with it. Yep. And a team like the Dolphins, they need those players, to the point that we've been making about a couple more bites at the apple. Dolphins definitely need that, but it sounds like they're willing, or it feels like at this point they're willing to take advantage of all those opportunities and not move up to get a guy.
I think Soder has his hand up. Soder in the gallery. What's going on? Soder, what's up? You're number one.
49ers keep trading back, so obviously that AI is going to make sure they get every seventh round pick before this thing's said and done. Hey, this is a broader question about the draft, and I guess it's for Joseph and Newt, but the question is has like the transfer portal and NIL started to really flatten out college football talent? And what we're seeing with the 2026 draft, of where it's kind of like, nobody is like deeply excited by it. Is this generally going to probably become the new norm as we move forward, especially with college football going to much more gadgety stuff? Because they're not holding players together to develop and to get more complex and just kind of, Ole Miss in it, right?
I don't think so personally. I think this is I don't think this is a down draft class. I think this is a pretty average draft class, but obviously you define that by the first round talent. And the other thing that you define it by is the quarterback play, where you've got Fernando Mendoza, you've obviously got the flyer on Ty Simpson, and then as much as we've joked about Carson Beck, he still hasn't gone yet. So there is a pretty big disparage between 1 to 2. I don't think anyone will argue that, and then 2 to what we're waiting on for 3. So I think the top of the draft, the quarterback play does a really good job of defining that. And I think like you take a look 2 years ago at the draft class that we had with your top tier talent and everyone that was present there. That was in the midst of NIL. Now it's obviously continued to grow and take a little bit more of a noticeable hold on there. But I think that you're still going to get these ebbs and flows. And I think we're kind of somewhere in the middle. But I think, next year, if everyone's like 2027 quarterback class is going to be absolutely amazing. If it is, and it truly is, then I think you're going to end up hearing that class be touted as one of the best classes, mostly because it's defined by the quarterbacks and the top tier talent, but also your Jeremiah Smiths, your Ryan Williams, and like those guys that are also along for the ride. So I think that there's a huge effect that NIL has played, obviously, on the draft, but I don't think it has diluted the system.
And I do think it's going to be a bit, like you say, ebbs and flows. I'd love to get Joseph's thoughts here because I agree with you, Newt. I think it's certainly noticeable, and there are undoubtedly going to be ramifications each and every year, dependent on both the quarterback classes, but also, who is able to, okay, I'm going to get $500,000 to stay in school, and play my 5th year, whatever. Yeah, guys are undoubtedly going to take that option a lot of the time, right? But there are certainly going to be years, and 2027 feels like it's shaping up to be this kind of year where there is going to be plenty of premier talent that will drive, interest, certainly, and give it sizzle, as it were, that will get everyone excited about the draft and produce a lot of really good players. So, yeah, do we have Joseph? Is he here?
Right here.
All right.
So, you got me?
You got you.
Okay. So, I think the transport portal only helps NFL evaluators. Like, for instance, take Brandon Cisse, started out at NC State. I don't think we have a single wide receiver in this year's class or even last year's class that would be top tier. So he bet on himself and went to South Carolina, which if you know college football, South Carolina is like one of those teams that you really don't want to see on your schedule, whether you're in the SEC or not. You really just don't want to see South Carolina. They may not be a top 10 team, but just like, I really got to play y'all. And then you got to play them at home. They love to spoil like home crowd advantage. So he bet on himself, played against the Chris Brazels of the world, the Jeremy Bernards. So you get to get a little bit more exposure. So when guys transfer, they're most likely thinking about the draft. Like, where can I play at a better school, or I can get more snaps?
Exposure towards better competition, better exposure, get more eyes on me, things of that nature. I'm down. That's a really good point.
Right, and then with the NIL, I mean, it's just a no-brainer. If Johnny's refrigerator service is paying me $9,000 a month to stay at Toledo, then I'm gonna stay at Toledo versus run the risk of I get, maybe $2,000 a week for my camp invite, but I only last for 2 months, and then I'm on the street.
Yep.
So, I mean, but don't get me wrong. I mean, a practice squad player, makes more than some lawyers. if they can stick for the whole season. Practice squad players, backup quarterbacks, the Rasheed Walkers of the world.
Oh Lord.
They make a good
no doubt.
They make a good earning
wrong.
just sitting there on the bench. So I think NIL and transfer portal only helps the NFL because it gives guys, especially when you're like a regional scout and you get a guy moved from one area to the other, like, okay, like I get to see more of you versus you were like the third best person on your team, and now I got you as a starter. I can measure, I can get more metrics from you before we have to make a decision on, is this guy on our board? Is he not on our board?
I like it. Appreciate that, Joseph. That's really good perspective. I want to go to the chat real quick because we have a couple super chats, both mentioning the same player who is a player I actually love. First, we got Jesse asking, any chance we end up with a second NDSU receiver on the pack in Bryce Lance? And then Stony Grant asking, what up, Nags? Sleepers for you. Bryce Lance out of NDSU. And he may not be drafted, but D2 QB Jack Strand out of MSUM Moorhead. And then look out, and then he has Xavier Harris, 6'8 DT, just saying. I want to concentrate on Lance for a second because I do think, man, I know we just re-signed Jaden Reed. I know they're going to pay Christian Watson. but I like this player a lot. A lot. I really like his game.
He's really good. He's really good. Honest to God, like he's 56 on my board. If they had taken him at 52, I'd have been like, oh,
cool.
Got a great player. Got a player worthy of the pick. Now, obviously, like maybe been persuaded by like who was still there, but God, Bryce Lance, he is so good. And I think when you take a look at him, and once again, like you look at the body of work that he put forward over 2 years, and it is just when you're playing at the FCS Group of 5 level, you've got to dominate. And Bryce Lance dominated in a way where you can just see how it translates. So I'm a big fan of Bryce Lance. Obviously, going to be the connection to Trey Lance with his brother. And then, with the Packers, the mention of Christian Watson.
You talk about connections, even outside of Watson. They've got his wide receiver coach now. That's who they hired this offseason.
Yeah.
So there's a pipeline there, Somebody maybe whispering in the ear.
The wild thing is, just like, some of these other guys, I don't know if Bryce Lance lasts till 84.
Yeah, well, that's
and if you're not willing to take him,
he won't.
If you're not willing to take him at 84, I don't think, just like Ted Hurst, I don't think he's there at 120. Because one of the wild things, and we talked about runs on players, there hasn't really been a run on receivers.
No,
like
somewhat surprising.
Like massive run just happened on tight ends, with like a handful of guys going.
Yeah, we had 3 going, of course, like 5 picks, 6 picks.
Yeah, honest to God, guys, I was not expecting to go either. Like Stowers went very quickly after, and then Max Clare, but then Klein and Borkacher out of Texas A&M. I wouldn't have picked them.
Pick surprised me. That one, felt random. But hey, man, first year, first blush look at Duval down there with the new coach and their offensive system. I have zero doubt they have a plan for him, and it's probably a pretty good one.
Yeah,
I mean, they came out of the gate smoking with that offense. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say the Jaguars don't know what they're doing, because they've obviously, like I said, they've got a plan for him. Yeah, I'm with you. I was surprised to see his name. Very much so.
No, yep. So, but to that point, like Elijah Surratt, Chris Bell, Antonio Williams, Bryce Lance, Skylar Bell, Zachariah Branch, Malachi Fields. Like, these are guys that
Fields is good.
Maybe not the last 2, but by now I expected a handful of those other guys to be off the board. So it kind of feels like there's this bubble of wide receivers building.
Very much agreed. I know we've got a few more folks with their hands up in the gallery. Starting with Eddie, the Beers and Balls Show in the house. Eddie, what's going on, man?
Nags, what's up?
How are you?
Was there any trades available, you think, at 54 or 52 that
at
Brian
52.
Just couldn't?
Right.
At 52 that he didn't like and decided to take Cisse, because I'm not in love with it. I don't hate it.
I'm sure he'll be asked. Like we can only find out after the fact, but I'll bet he just likes the player.
I think the comp to Jair is close, but I don't know if it's spot on. But I think there's. Oh, I just saw my guy Igbenogson go. That hurts.
Oh yeah, he went to the Bills. There you go. So much for doubling up.
That
there.
hurts. Yeah. Do you think that might have been the plan there? If there was, hypothetically, if there wasn't a trade that made sense, that it could be, we'll take this guy with a notion that there could be something there and doubling up to get a better boundary or corner.
Maybe
5'11" and 3 quarters. I mean, I think you got to match up size with size. I think St. Judas is a day one starter for this team. I'm probably an outlier with that, but
no. Dude, that is not out of the realm of possibility at all. I think so much of that is going to depend on how they hit the ground running in camp. Because you guys know, you follow along camp every summer. Like, guy starts well and turns some heads and starts getting more opportunities, and all of a sudden he kind of maybe not entrenches himself, but he gets the leg up, right? It's hard to get off the field then. Coaches like what you're doing. You're getting more opportunities and you're making the most of them. If St. Just or Cisse or whoever does exactly that out of the gate, yeah, there's a good chance that they have a, maybe not a line in the starting gig, but a chance to win it, there in camp. But that's what it's all about. It's all about competition. And I will be surprised if we don't get out of the draft. I'm not going to say today, but the draft in general without another corner. I think, like Brian has talked about, like we need more bodies. We need more competition. This, I would suspect, is just the start of that. Now, maybe there were conversations, offers to drop down, etc. But, ultimately, unless Brian divulges it, we'll never really.
I like the other corner out of Washington, Presock. I mean, definitely butchered his name.
No, one of the
Ephesians
greatest.
Presock?
Yes. One of the greatest names in this draft. Actually, Newt and I talked about him, I want to say weeks ago on one of our videos. Like, dude, that guy, because I think he was in a few of Newt's mock drafts. That cat can play. I don't know if he's long for Green Bay, but that cat can play.
I'm living in probably a multiverse none of us else are, where I'm just matching size with size on the boundaries, and I'm thinking that guy makes perfect sense.
Yep,
matching size. But I appreciate you, Nags, and congrats on everything with Ed Policy. That was
thanks, Eddie.
Awesome. Really enjoyed that.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for the support. Appreciate you. Yeah, what about that? Come on now. Let's get one of the best names in the draft on this Packers team. I am totally down with that.
The all-name team.
He's my sleeper.
Let's go. I absolutely love him. I love him. Elijah Robb, thank you for the super chat. He adds, would love to see them double up with McCoy. He's still out there. He's dropping. Got to think that knee is a major issue, or a major talking point at least. I don't know, man. Maybe if he's there, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. The Packers are traditionally not the team to stop that kind of fall, especially if it's medically related. We shall see.
No, so, I gotta agree. It's just so much that everyone's gotten a stab at it at this point.
Multiple times. Like, we are at the very last pick of the second round, and no one's pulled the trigger. And Jake Slaughter just went to the Chargers, who perennially need offensive line help. Well, you're happy. Why are you happy about that?
I got in a Twitter fight with someone like 3 months ago that Jake Slaughter was a shit center, and I was like, Jake Slaughter's awesome, and I was just validated by the Chargers. So thank you so much, LA. I appreciate you.
See, in my cynical nature, I thought you thought, oh, good, now the Packers won't select him, and if he comes in and sucks, this dude's gonna roast me for the rest of his career.
No, so, I love Jake Slaughter.
I get it. That's understandable. Doug Hype is here. He's back from drinking beers with Matt Ramage. What's going on, Doug? How you doing?
I have many good tidings and news for you.
Okay.
First of all, in the Battle of Mayor of Green Bay is Ivan, the Mayor of Green Bay on Team Ramage. He says he'll take all comers at any point and come on the show for a drink off at any point, anywhere. He has a professional drinking Instagram where he competes in professional drinking contests.
He helps carry the G all the time, which we appreciate.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Also, the other news is that I was correct with my assessment of Brandon Cisse being a Green Bay Packer.
Look at that. You and
look at that.
Newt Westen both. Look at that. Who would have thunk it?
Weston?
Newt Westen.
This is fantastic. I really like this a lot. He is a very active tackler, and he's got great athletic ability. And I think they're going to double up and get another cornerback here. So it's going to be even more exciting when he does that, when we do that.
I really hope it happens. I really do think they got to add at least one more in the draft. Maybe not at 84, but in the draft. I would love another corner. I'm down with this idea.
Well, I'm looking at this list right now, guys, and we still have Romeo Height and Daryl Jackson there, guys that like could be really good additions to our team.
Talk about all name team. An all name team. You get Big Citrus. nickname adjacent, but
he's still there,
Big Citrus.
right?
Yeah.
Citrus is there.
Front cover of the Cheesehead TV draft
Cover star of the Cheesehead TV draft guide, still hanging out. There it is. Look at you printing it out. That's what Corey used to do back in the day. Love it. Absolutely love it.
I had to. It was too great of an opportunity.
No, it's good. It's always nice. You know what I miss? The old. Did you ever do? Or I don't know, probably dating myself here, but back when we all used to buy the draft guides at like Barnes and Noble or at our local bookstores, the Pro Football Weekly draft guide by Naraki, that thing, or Joel Bushbaum back in the day, like just that was like an annual run to the bookstore and get your draft guide like that. Oh, miss those days. Definitely miss those days.
Sporting news.
Sporting news. Love that. I got people in the chat talking about the Brewers. Look, people, I love the Brewers, but it is NFL draft weekend, folks. We are talking about the Packers and the NFL right here.
Yeah.
I understand the Brewers
Look at this.
have been fun, but okay, I see the
Carry the G
What are we-
in Wisconsin cheese.
Wait, so are you importing that to where are you? Are you in Colorado? Where I never remember.
Yeah, I'm Colorado.
Colorado. Yeah. So you've got contraband, is what you're saying.
I loaded up my suitcase when I was at the Bear Packer game.
That's the way to do it. That's how you roll, dog.
You know what I'm saying? People always ask me, they're like, hey, do you get paid to go on Cheesehead TV? And I'm said, yeah, I have 18 cases of Carry the G beer in my refrigerator right now. It's more important than money. Or
You get
it's actually like an
I
asset
barely
you
get
can
paid.
invest in.
We're gonna start paying you? Come on now. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Look, we have to let people know the quality that's in this can right here. You know what I'm saying? This little can of Carry the G.
Obviously. That's my first.
I mean, it makes me happy that I can just drive to the local liquor store and pick it up at any time I want.
You know, don't
definitely
rub
an
it
added
in.
bonus.
Don't rub it in. You know why? I gotta.
Well,
hang out
if you
here.
do that, you should send some to Nagler.
I know, right? No. I got Len Beebe. He's my hookup. He drives from Wisconsin to New York and offloads it here, so it's all good.
You got your Smokey and the Bandit situation where he's driving straight lines.
Oh yeah,
and
man.
he's
We got a whole
He's outrunning the cops.
operation happening. You know,
He's got to make it to the state line of North.
got to get
I
over the
load
state
up my
line.
motorhome.
Yep, 100%, baby.
We load up the motorhome. We hide it under the seats and wherever we can hide it. We tuck it in and we bring it back, baby.
Wait.
We're hot sitting that beer. It's an 1,800-mile.
Len, we got to discuss something here. We still have yet to rematch on Madden, and I don't want to do it online. We got to do it in the motorhome, on the side of the motorhome, like we did when it was freezing in Green Bay. That has to happen.
Okay, well, I will defer making my plans for Green Bay this year until I find out the Cheesehead TV meetup.
There you go.
Which
Well,
I
hey.
would love to see it be the Miami Dolphins game. But
Well, it depends
that
on when
would
it
be the
is. Look, she's not
Right.
here tonight, unfortunately,
Right.
but it's all on Charlene. So whenever Charlene says,
Yes.
that's when we go.
Yes. And I will wait to make my plans
There you go.
until we know, and then we will rematch on the side of the camper
Hell yes.
in Green Bay.
Can we have a full tournament? Because I'll jump in there.
Yeah,
Let's
why
do a
not?
tourney.
Let's do it.
With Cheesehead TV Madden tourney.
Dude,
out in
all I
Green
know
Bay
is
for
that
Cheesehead.
game was so brutal because it was so fucking cold that I had a touchdown with A.J. Dillon about to cross the goal line, and my hand was so cold, I was shaking, and I hit the wrong button, and he tossed it back. Like, pitched it. I was trying to, dive into the end zone, and he pitched it back. And I lost by one score. So, I need a rematch. I need to.
Does Tyler still have the footage?
Oh
There's
yeah,
gotta be
it's still on the Facebook page. If you got to go way back, but it's still there. Yeah. God help us.
I'll have to find that, clip it, and just
We will do it. It will happen. I can't wait. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the third round of the draft has begun. The Cardinals have made their selection. Broncos are on the clock. We got, oh my goodness, we've got 20 picks to go. So the Packers make another selection, which is pretty great, actually.
Nags, we need a Twitch channel where you just challenge everyone to Madden all the time.
I know. Well, you see, I kind of did that for a couple two tree, as it were, a couple off seasons, especially during COVID. On Twitch and YouTube, and I was doing Madden challenge Nagler to a Madden game. Then it kind of fell off. When we started Patreon, that was one of the things that, one of the bonuses that you could challenge Nagler.
The problem is you don't have somebody yell really loud, and guess who yells loud?
Yeah,
this guy.
All right,
I work in the video game industry. That's what I do for a living.
Let's do a reset. Let's start it over here. Let's get take me. We need a reset here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the start of the third round. The Green Bay Packers have added a corner who's going to dominate, who's going to come in and be a day one starter, according to everybody who likes the kid. And look, there's plenty of talent still remaining on the board. I believe, given everything I've seen, I may have missed a pick or two, but I believe 4 of my 5 draft crushes remain available. So the Packers could still do right. Could still do right by Nagler. Take one of my guys. Of course, one of them is gone in Sean Stribling, who went at 33 to the 49ers. Not a fan of that, but I do like the player. Here we go. The Green Bay Packers, 20 picks away. And I see Jerry's here. Jerry's here hanging out in her. Are you in the cabin? Is that where you're at? Where are you at, Jerry?
Yeah, Virginia cabin.
There you go.
Beautiful spring day here.
Yeah, it was gorgeous here in New York today. It's going to be gross, I guess, tomorrow, but that's just life in the city. Jerry, how do you like the pick? Are you a fan of the corner selection? How you feeling?
Yeah, I like it. I'm not liking another cornerback though coming up. I mean,
All
like I want a D tackle immediately.
I couldn't agree more, honestly.
There you go.
Like I want Daryl
Jerry
Jackson
making sense.
or Dominic Orange.
I'm down with it. Now, what are you going to do when they take a tight end instead?
I like a tight end too. That's a good idea.
Pause. All right, that's
But
great.
I'd rather
I love it.
Go Pack, go.
Go Pack. Thanks, Jerry. I'll say this. There's no doubt in my mind that at some point over the course of the next 28 hours, Packers will make a selection that pisses everybody off. And I'm here for it. I can't wait. I am very excited. All right, Newt, give us a rundown on your best available. What you got as far as your guys who, probably going to go before the Packers pick, but that's who they're, should be eyeing. Packers fans should be looking. Carson Beck just went to the Cardinals.
I just saw that. I didn't. Yeah. We're kind of playing with it at the top of round 2, but he went at the top of round 3, which
right.
he was my number 3 quarterback. And so it kind of like went 1, 2, 3 for me. I had Carson Beck 108 on my board. Quarterbacks always go higher though. So,
yep.
I'm really not surprised by that. That's a little bit more where I thought, but so my top 10 available still
between you and I think he's going to be a disaster in the NFL. That's just me.
I think
we'll see.
I think Carson Beck. That is a fair assessment.
The scheme
I think
should
Carson
help
Beck.
him. Scheme should help him.
Yes.
He'll be a disaster in the NFL. That's my guess.
When you take a look at him as a guy that is able to be a pocket passer, I think he excels. But the problem is that's not today's NFL.
Welcome to the NFL. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. So
anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good. Jamal McCoy, number 1, but obviously there's something going on with that. And so
yeah.
After that, Caleb Tiernan, left tackle out of Northwestern, really like him. Shorter arms, that's probably pushing him down the board. Elijah Surratt, wide receiver out of Indiana, another guy that I like a ton. And then Julian Neal, we talked about him, cornerback out of Arkansas.
Yes.
Chris Bell coming off an ACL tear out of Louisville, wide receiver. Connor Lew, another guy coming off an ACL tear out of Auburn. He's a center out of Auburn. He's my center one. I really like Connor Lew. I think he'd be a great addition for the Packers, especially with the Ryan contract being friendly out of getting out of
That's the
that
thing.
first
They
year.
can get out of that after 1 year very easily.
Yeah. I think, does Connor Lew help us in the 2-year window like we've been talking about? Not necessarily, but man, he is probably going to be a 12-year center in the league. I just saw Dominique Orange pop up in the Zoom. Dominique Orange is my 6th best player available. Obviously, defensive tackle out of Iowa State. We've been talking about him a lot. Nod to the tight end, Justin Jolie out of NC State. He's my number 7 guy. Really like him. And then you got a couple of guys that we mentioned already. Antonio Williams out of Clemson, wide receiver. And then Bryce Lance, NDSU, wide receiver. And then my last guy, the guy we've been talking about probably more than anyone else, Jennings Dunker. Tackle, guard, possibly even center out of Iowa.
Man,
so
I know people get upset at the idea of especially an offensive lineman who probably doesn't play a ton his rookie year, right? But I got to keep reiterating the idea of how many times this year or over the course of the last 2 years have we seen one guy go down and fire drills ensuing? I am fine adding to that talent floor along the offensive line at any position. It could be tackle too, which I know they're set.
Yeah.
But I'm fine. More than anything, I mean, I think it's mostly the years spent watching Jason Spriggs come in at right tackle and the entire offense falling apart on 3rd down every time because he couldn't hold up. It's you can't have enough talent along the front. You can't.
Yeah, no, I see that. And I just saw actually Tyler Onyedim, guy that I fell in love with at Texas A&M, just went to the Broncos.
The Broncos, yeah.
That's a heck of a pickup, but he's a guy that got slept on a ton. Kieran Crawford, I thought he was a very Packers-y edge. 3-4 outside linebacker. He played in Auburn's quote unquote buck role. I thought would have been a good addition. I didn't like him necessarily this early, but obviously, the draft does what the draft does.
It does. And I want to give a shout out to Jerry, the super chat here. I started a site called Pro Dig Esports for Madden tournaments, prices and signed gear for winners. That's dope. All right. I got to get Jerry. I know we've talked about it in the past. It'll happen. I'm going to jump on this at some point. It has to happen. No doubt. Jim Jonas, what's going on, brother? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you. This is great. I'm doing well. I love the pick. I'm very excited. Good, just good all around. One of the best players available at a position of need, and positional value, all good. But I would not be. You're right. I'm going to be one of the people who's unhappy with one of the picks down the road, because as far as I'm concerned, all they need for the remainder of the draft is O-line, D-line, and another corner.
Hey, I'd be down
I
with that.
expect them to take a tight end, and I expect them to take a running back. I just hope they don't do that until, after the 4th round.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it depends on if the talent warrants the selection. As far as this kid could be a difference maker, especially at running back. Look, I'm with you as far as I think, especially in the modern game, the NFL, running backs have become the most fungible position, right? You can insert a guy, he can be productive, he can work right away as a rookie, but you don't need a breakout 2nd or 3rd round talent to do so. But if they think, this guy is special, this guy could be our bell cow, could be a focal point of our offense, even if it's a 3rd round selection, and I got to tell you, I'm fine with that. I got no issue.
Let's see, rather than playing behind Dunker than we can play anybody.
There you go. Make the whole that's. I mean, kind of how the Broncos did it forever, right? When they just run that wide zone and plug and play running backs and make sure that those linemen are cutting at the right time and find those cutback lanes and just producing 1,000-yard rushers each and every year. I'm down with it, no doubt about it.
I'm actually kind of surprised to that point. We've had 2 running backs off the board so far,
both in the first round.
Yeah, both in the first round, no one in the second round. I think that, to that point, it's kind of getting a little thick with them. I'm in agreement. I don't necessarily want a running back here, but once again, if like a guy like a Mike Washington, like a fat man Katron Allen himself were to come off, I wouldn't hate it.
Right.
But yeah, I think there's some other spots too that I love to see. The trenches for sure.
Big E carry the G here in the chat. Thank you, brother. That's what they thought about Marshawn Lloyd. Yes, that is what they thought about Marshawn Lloyd. And then all hell broke loose because of the injuries. That doesn't mean he couldn't have been that. Maybe he becomes that. I doubt it at this point. He's been so much time, but you never know. Guys, don't forget, if you're on the gallery, please mute your mics. Somebody's got the TV on, and I'm dying over here. Prodigy Sports, GB Faithful. Thanks, Jerry. My site is pronounced like Prodigy Sports. Nags will never pay an entry fee of any kind. That's very nice of you, brother. I appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. Newt, I'm going to need you to take a few questions. I got to run feed my cat who's breaking down my door right now. And Sarah's on a trip out of town. So I'm alone having to fend for myself with this cat who is about to legit break this door down. So I'll be right back.
I can do that for sure. What do we got?
Who's the best interior offensive lineman left? Is it besides Jennings Dunker?
Besides Jennings Dunker, my favorite. Connor Lew is my favorite interior offensive lineman left. He's a center only, and so you're not necessarily getting that. That flexibility for all 3 spots. I think Dunker gives you that, and that probably elevates him a little bit more. Emmanuel Pregnon as well is another guy that I like. He's played a ton of left guard over his time at Nevada, then USC, now Oregon. Older prospect, but really took advantage of his opportunity this year. And then Jalen Farmer, who I'm probably a little bit higher on in my kind of like when I look at him compared to consensus board. But Jalen Farmer is phenomenal in terms of how he approaches the battle in the trenches. I think he plays with great athleticism, phenomenal play strength. He has taken every single one of his snaps at right guard, has never played another snap outside of that, but he's done a damn good job. So I think between the center position, the guard, and like a guy like Dunker, who obviously we mentioned, there's a lot of guys that have an opportunity to be a really good addition. And then I think that, even with, at this point, Logan Jones, Jake Slaughter coming off the board, you've got guys like Sam Hecht, guys like Matt Golbin, who are still available at that center position that I think would be a great addition.
Newt, what do you think of this? The receiver out of Tennessee. I like his body at least. I don't know much about him outside of his metrics. What do you think of him?
We talk about Bradsell the second.
Yeah.
Man, Chris Bradsell is like the highlights are so high. If you get a chance to watch him versus Georgia, I think he had 3 touchdowns in that game. One of them was just like a battle downfield. The problem is I don't know, like, for me, the weaknesses, and it's not even like weaknesses on the field. It's like effort issues with him. And there's been like conflicting reports where, that's kind of how he got coached to take plays off. And I didn't see it from other receivers at Tennessee. And so I'm not necessarily willing to give him a pass there. Plus, he got like some petty skirmishes with Devin Moore and other cornerbacks around the SEC. the talent I think is there. If he ended up in Green Bay, I would hope that you get him in a system where you can really pull him back in, and it's like you're not putting up with his shit. But I don't know if it is shit. I think it's just kind of what he's been allowed to get away with at this point. So I think the length, like you said, the measurables, the way that he's able to play as a deep threat and a boundary wide receiver is great. I think that there are just some things that like he's not a clear day one talent, and then you toss in some of the other things. I think it leaves some question marks.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't that stuff you brought. I do not love any of that, and I didn't know that. Hey, buddy. So, you hear my kid? Thanks, man.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. What else we got? I saw that the Bears just took another tight end.
Hey, Newt.
They took a draft crush of mine, Sam Roush. I love this player. Damn it. Damn it.
What was the question?
Sorry. I was
Dan,
gonna
go ahead.
say
or I was good. Ken.
we're still looking for a defensive tackle, and I think particularly a nose tackle. What about this Dominique Orange that looks like he's still available?
Oh, Big Citrus.
Big Citrus.
The man, the myth, the legend. Once I'll pop it up again. Like Cheesehead
Cover boy.
TV, draft guy cover. Big Citrus is awesome. I had the opportunity to write him up for them. And God, I love him. I think he's kind of been a steady Eddie, and it might kind of like factor into the idea of safe picks again, but he's a guy, I think he gives you some disruption when it comes to him being a pass rusher. His bread and butter is going to be what he does for you on early downs and how he's able to be effective. But I don't think you're getting a guy that is solely going to just be a brick wall. I think the guy's got some pop to him. He's a fun player, has been able to really make the most of his time at Iowa State. So I love Big Citrus. Him and Daryl Jackson Jr., if you're looking for a one tech, a guy that is able to clog up the middle, I think both those guys are valued right around here. And I would love to see either one of those. Definitely have Big Citrus a little bit higher on my board, though.
Isn't that what they really need right now?
In my opinion, it is. I'd love for them. I'd love for them to double dip on the defensive line, grab a kind of beefier guy right now, and the three techs in this class I think have a little bit more spread to them throughout day 3. So whether it be maybe like a Caleb Proctor earlier, if you want to kind of go boom boom, some
Proctor's
other guys like Albert Regis,
Proctor would be a draft crush. So that's never going to happen, but I would love that pick. I love that kid.
But like a Rayshon Benny, Chris McClellan, like there's a lot of guys I think that fit that defensive tech, like that 3 tech role. But I think that like Orange and Jackson Jr., both of them have really good value right here.
Yeah, but just getting that one tech, that guy that can stuff up the middle. I still remember Ted Thompson always saying, man, the Lord only made so many big guys.
Big athletes.
That's the truth right there.
100%. So true. Romello Height, by the way, just went to the 49ers.
I was a little, honestly, when I saw him come in for the top 30 visit, I was a little weirded out by that. He just doesn't seem like a Packers.
I agree, right?
Rusher.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I would suspect that's got to be like something other than like getting to know you. That's got to be like a medical flag, or if they heard about something off the field or something, like a get to know. Like, I'd be surprised if it was just a straight up, oh, we're planning on drafting this kid. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
You never really know. I see Lieutenant Dan's got his hand up. What's up, Lieutenant Dan? How you doing, brother?
Hey, so I'm seeing some stuff about potentially a safety this round. Thoughts there, and who might be available that might fit that?
Well, they had I don't know if he's gone yet. Maybe do you know or remember? They had one of their pre-draft visits. The LSU safety, whose name is escaping me.
Halsey, AJ Halsey.
Halsey.
Did he go already?
Halsey.
He is not.
No, I think he's still available.
Right? What do you think? I mean, Newt, I get it. Like we talked about earlier, they're never set, but they're in a good spot at safety. But as I said, somebody on Twitter, I think it was Jacob and I were going back and forth, and I'm like, they brought him in. I think they just like the player, and there's like if they run as much like dime / 3-4 safety shit that Gannon ran in Arizona, I wouldn't be surprised at that pick.
The thing is, he's a box safety. I mean, like, you ask him to be just this thumper in the box, he will lay some hits down. He has a ton of fun in that regard. And so if you're looking for a guy, like you said, in that dime type system where, you're playing a 3-2 or whatever that might be for your box, and he's your complement to that, and that's a phenomenal addition. And I think it's a guy where you look at what he can do as a cover safety and you like it, and you look at what he can do as a big hitter and you love it. And so do I am I pounding the table for him? No. But do I see the fit? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
He's a bit of a ball hawk too.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, big time. He's got ball skills. No question. Like, that's what I mean.
Well,
like,
and I was seeing too, I think safety right now is the strongest position right now that's left.
Yeah, there's only been 3 grabs so far with McNeil, Warren, Thieneman, and Downs. And so, like, you get Halsey, Zakee Wheatley. Oh, I guess Stukes, if you count him as a safety, and Bud Clark, now that I'm thinking about it. But there is some really good value still left on the board at safety.
And if only we knew what our defensive coordinator was thinking. Anyways, thanks.
Even if he was available, he's not going to tell us. So I understand. I get the joke because I've kind of been leading the charge. But it's all right. We're going to be okay.
I see you riding out on the biggest horse.
Say, we sent people to the moon and brought them back, and we tried to reinstate firing squad as a method to for capital punishment in this country before we got a press conference from Jonathan Gannon. It's amazing. It's amazing.
If only they had a brand new media auditorium to host that press conference.
If only.
Anyways, I appreciate it.
You,
thanks.
buddy. Thanks, man. Thanks, Dan. Joseph, what's going on, brother? What's on your mind? What are you thinking here? 84 coming up in a little over 10 picks. What are you thinking here?
I'm still sticking with my interior guys. Pregnon, Dunker, Newt brought up Farmer. He brought up Tiernan, who I don't see as a tackle because of those arm lengths. I see him as moving inside as a guard. And the Packers love those kind of people.
I love that shit.
But I was actually to point to Dan, I'm going to go a little bit off on the deep end, and I actually don't think we need a nose tackle. I know Gannon ran a 3-4 in Arizona, but he was making the best of what he had. And the Cardinals did not have a good roster. They're not going to have a good roster this year either. So I think his firing is more of just like look what I had to work with. But then you look at when he had the Eagles, he led the league in pressure with 4 dudes, 4 down linemen. So he makes the best of what he has. And then going back to Goody's on a short lease. This is not the draft to retool a defense to 3-4. One, the guys just aren't there. And then, now you got to, reteach principles. Now you got Van Ness. Now he was an outside linebacker. Now he's a DN. Now he's going back to outside linebacker. You can't really. Yeah, you can't just keep jerking dudes around and then, you're like, well, why are these guys developing? Because they've been through 4 different systems. So I think Gannon, and I don't think necessarily this is an excuse for why we haven't heard from him. I think we're going to still see like a 4-3 concept, maybe a 4-2-5. Or what he can do is he can disguise it to look like it's a 3-4 at the pre-snap. And then when the ball snapped, it moves to like a 4-2-5 tight hybrid nickel defense, which is probably what we're going to see. So I don't necessarily think we need a nose tackle. Banks is gone. Hunter's gone. Orange and Jackson are still there, but I think really that's what Hargrave is going to do. And then we really just need somebody who can either sub in for Hargrave if he's not there for the even front, or just have a really good third rotational D lineman who kind of does a little bit of everything. But just a pure run stopper, I just don't necessarily see that as a need for Gannon's defense. If he's trying to retool or get this team in the best position as for this season, because I don't think Gannon wants to stay here long. I think this is another Hafley situation. I mean, I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good head coach, but he just was the victim of a really poor roster build, and I think he wants to get back out there. So, and if he, if this goes south, he's going to have to get back out there.
I'll say this.
So I think,
I agree with the idea that, okay, you don't want to force it, right? I do think, Brian did say at the combine, like, we're going to run more 3-4 principles than we have the last couple of years. I do think they would like, and then Brian said this in his pre-draft presser about we have an appetite for a nose tackle type that we haven't had because we didn't need one when Hafley was in town. But again, you don't force that. You don't make that happen. I will say this. I'll throw this out to the group here, to yourself, Joseph, and Newt. What do you think about this? Because someone also put this in the chat, and it's something that I talked about on Packers Daily, I want to say a month ago. Let's get in and out of the draft. We do what we do. We got a corner. We add whatever we add throughout the rest of this. And then after the draft, when your free agent pickups do not count against the comp pick formula, you get a little Calais Campbell in the action. You get a little Calais Campbell coupled with Hargrave, who just, by the way, worked with Gannon for the last couple of years. Has talked about maybe retiring, but hey, let's go chase a ring with Green Bay and Gannon and blah, blah, blah. Dude. Devontae Wyatt, Calais Campbell, Hargrave, Micah Parsons, LVN, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. That's what I'm saying.
I like that.
I
honestly.
love it.
Oh, hey, no, go for it, Joseph.
I love it, but I don't think there's enough money for Calais Campbell to come this far north. I mean, he's in Jacksonville.
That is an issue. That is an issue. It is an issue. You're not lying.
I don't know if he wants to come this far north. I mean, if we're the only team calling it, he might just call it a career.
Hey,
but,
don't forget.
I mean,
don't forget, back in the day, Keith Jackson didn't want to come to Green Bay, very much for many reasons. One of them, the one you're talking about, until Ron Wolf made it happen. He finally got him in the fold, finally got him up there, and they won a ring. So I just say, it could happen. It could happen. Just saying. But I hear you. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Appreciate you, Joseph. Thanks, buddy.
No problem.
I mean, wait.
Run on tight ends continue with Delp.
Newt, what are we thinking as far as, okay, my vision that I just talked about? We get Calais Campbell in here. We wreck shop up front.
Yep.
Who's the corner we're taking at 84 to supplement this?
It's your boy. It's got to it might be your boy, but it's either your boy or Willie the Third.
Yeah.
So Everett or Willie the Third. I think that could
Willie
be
they had in.
I also
once again Everett in. So.
Yeah, they didn't, but he's such a Packersy
really
type guy.
He so is.
I mean, 100%. I like Julian Neal a lot. The short area quickness necessarily isn't there. But once again, he's a guy I talked about a fair bit. But I think that, to the point you're making, it's pretty thick still with some of those guys. Takario Davis just went off the board.
Malachi Fields just went to the Giants.
Oh, okay.
There we go. First wide receiver. Maybe there's a bit of a run here. Wideouts, push everything else down. I'm down with that.
Well, I'll say Antonio Williams went actually a couple picks even before that.
Oh, I missed that one.
But that's been.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first one since Jeremy Bernard at 46. So yeah, it's been a little bit on wide receiver, and that's kind of what we talked about, right? Where it just feels like we're pretty thick with wide receivers.
Oh, here we go. The Dolphins are on the clock, which means they're about to take somebody we would have wanted, like John Eric Sullivan's about to
Dominic Orange. Dominic Orange is gone.
Probably right. Yep.
Bryce. Oh, Bryce Lance.
Lance.
They need a wide receiver.
Brazil. What's the other wide receiver?
Chris Brazel. Yeah.
Yeah, Brazel. That like he could go here. That wouldn't surprise me, especially if they just traded away Waddle, etc. Like that
I mean, they gutted that whole wide receiver room.
Crazy, right? I mean, I get it. I loved his interview, by the way. I'm sure you saw that clip with Kevin down at the owners' meetings where he said, look, because he was asked, it was shortly after it happened. Like he said, by the time we get this thing going, like Waddle's going to be 29 or whatever it is, and he's going to want another third contract, and he's a great player, but it's going to do us a lot more good to get those assets in the draft, etc., and build up. Which is interesting that he's like so upfront about that, and Goody would never ever admit something like that,
right?
Ever. It's like
it's the same mentality, just the as the mentality and like from that same tree you see it, but like the media approach, like you said,
is very, very different. Shout out to Daniel. Thank you for being a Carry the G Club member in the chat. Hi, love you. Where's Corey? Well, that's a great question. Back months ago when we started talking about the draft and how we would cover it and what we'd be doing without a first-round pick, etc., he was like, I ain't going to sit through the whole first round. We don't have a first-round pick. And I'm like, dude, that's fine. I'll handle the first round. Totally fine. You and me and Newt on Friday night. Be fine. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, totally. Doesn't say a word. Like nothing until we were on Packer Transplants Live this past Wednesday when I pubbed our draft stream. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it'll be me and Corey and Newt and blah, blah, blah. That's Wednesday night. We have a standing Thursday meeting every Thursday at noon. Get on the Zoom and Corey goes, you guys know how Corey talks. I'm sorry. I kind of screwed up. Yeah, I can't do Friday. I'm like, dude, what are we doing here? What are we doing? So Corey's very busy being very important in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Is the ultimate kind of, headline here. Very important man, has no time for this nonsense. That's all I can tell you. That's
Hey,
all.
Nags.
Yeah.
Nags, I gotta interrupt. Based on what I saw the other night, I think he's busy lifting weights.
Yes, at the Green Bay Athletic Club. By the way, what's up? Shout out to the bromance between Ed Policy and Corey Banke. Holy cow. Those two, thick as thieves, just hanging out.
Oh, there was a connection there.
There
was a real connection.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
You guys don't know. Okay, here's the backstory. I'll tell you this while we're waiting for the Packers to pick. Here's a fun backstory moment for you. Okay, so Corey is at dinner with his girlfriend at Blue, which is his favorite restaurant in Green Bay. And Ed Policy is there with his wife. And Ed Policy comes up to Corey to say hello. And that's how this all started. That was the path. That was like last October. Corey and apparently the wives and girlfriends all talked. And eventually at some point in that conversation, you should go on the show. Oh, yeah, you definitely should. That's how this happened. That's how we're living now. Corey Banke, power player in the Green Bay area. So, yes, he's very important. He has no time for this NFL draft live stream nonsense in his life. So, Jerry, thank you, brother. Corey is tending to the garden. You have no idea how right you are. That is correct. All right, we're going to get back to draft stuff here. Dolphins, the pick is in. We still don't know what the pick is yet, though. All I know, again, is that whoever it is, it's going to be somebody that John Eric Sullivan undoubtedly knows the Packers love, and he's going to steal it.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen.
It's going to be Bryce Lance.
It's Caleb Douglas, another wide receiver.
Oh, okay.
Here comes the wide receiver run. Told you. Here it comes.
There it is.
It's on its way, which is great, by the way, for the Packers. Please, let's have another couple wide receivers go. I'm down with this idea. Brandy, thank you. Aaron, Nags, your Corey impression is spot on. Let me tell you, everyone in college, when I met Corey at North Carolina School of the Arts, every single human being that you meet from North Carolina School of the Arts who was there when Corey was there has a Corey Banke impression. Every single person. Like everyone does a Corey. Like it's just, dude, oh my god, dude, oh my god, the Packer, Brett Favre, oh my god, dude, everybody has a Corey. It's just like it's a prerequisite. So yeah, thank you, and oft imitated, never duplicated. So we are. Wait a second. 1, 2, 3. We are 9 picks away. Yep. 9 picks, 9 times. 9 picks away.
To Joseph's point, there's a ton of offensive linemen.
Right?
A lot of those guys hanging out. Both
I'll also say
defensive tackles.
I'll also say Washington's still sitting there. We got a running back.
True.
Ready to go. Drop him in. Let's go. Offensive weapon.
There's a handful of running backs. There's
still only been
like we said, Washington, Fat Man, human
right?
bowling ball. Yeah, no one after. The only 2 guys taken are Notre Dame guys.
I know, the 2 Notre Dame dudes, and that's it. Let's go.
Oh
yeah.
My gosh.
Christopher, yes. Arkansas running back. Washington, yes. That's who I'm talking about. 100%. And which, by the way, Packers had him in for a pre-draft visit. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
This is getting to the point where I wouldn't mind a trade back here, because it feels like.
Yes.
No,
I get you.
I was sitting on pins and needles a little bit for 52. Like, like Akis and Cisse and this and that, and like here I'm like, man, it seems like there's a lot of options, but it only takes 7 picks to rip a ton of those options away. And I might be to get ripped too early.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, here's Pack Daddy asks, why is Pregnon still there? Not a bad question. Oh my God, the Steelers just took Drew Aller. LR. Sorry.
I didn't think he'd be a top 100 pick.
I didn't either. We got a guard against Aaron Rodgers, leaving him at the altar.
So wrote up the interior, Owen McCuller, big Drew Aller fan, but I don't even know if he thought he was a top 100 pick. That's man. So they grabbed Will Howard last year in the 4th.
You literally just said it like an hour ago. Quarterbacks are here, there, or everywhere, and then they always get bumped up. They always get.
Yep,
that's not called overdrafted, but they always get selected earlier because they're quarterbacks.
Correct. Wow. Yeah. I mean,
whoa! Packers are on the clock. Packers have traded up. Let's go. Packers are on the clock. Let's do it. Packers trade. Packers on the clock. There we go.
Go, Pack, go!
Let's do it, people. Oh, boy. Who could it be? Lewis says trade. Yes, that is correct. Why is McCoy still there? Because of injury, a serious injury. What do you think? What do you think?
I almost feel like if they're trading up, it's got Dunker. If they're trading up, like he's the most versatile offensive lineman still on the board.
Dunker or Big Citrus?
I love Big Citrus. I mean, if it was Big Citrus, I'd be happy about that.
Here it comes.
I'm looking, man.
Bregnon here? Dude, could you imagine
if they I'd like Dunker more.
The trigger on Washington here?
Trade up to go get Washington.
Let's go.
That would piss me off.
Let's go. No, it wouldn't. It would be awesome. Let's go. Clay.
What was the trade? Did we see?
Come on, Dunker. I haven't seen any terms yet. I just know that the Packers are on the clock.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me see.
Sent him 84 and 160.
84 and 160.
They did trade one of the fifths.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, Goody, you
this is what David Wicks is worth.
Exactly right. Oh, Chris McClellan.
Okay, they wanted to get a DT.
DT. There you go.
He's a Packersy guy. Incredible arm length.
Defensive tackle. Okay.
Tested well.
Dude.
Yeah, he had 34-inch arms, 6'3" and 4/8, 313. A versatile guy along a multiple front for Jonathan Gannon. Yeah, that's a guy right there.
interesting that they jumped up for this guy. And who are they trying to get ahead of? Maybe the Colts, maybe the Ravens. But I like it. All right, let's go. There we go. I mean, it's so funny that all last year we talked about cornerback and defensive tackle being needs. And then we come into this draft and all we talked about were cornerback and defensive tackle being needs. Well,
Being needs.
Yeah, they went need, man. They went best player available at position of need, but they went up to get this defensive tackle. It's interesting. I mean, I can't say I'm shocked, but for a team that and a GM that has traditionally liked to hoard picks, he gave up a selection to go up and get this cat.
And it's not like it was a like pick 235. That would have been okay, but obviously the trade wouldn't have been worth it then at that point for I forgot who traded out, but I don't know. Yeah, like the McClellan piece makes sense. I think he's really well rounded, but I think that there were other guys where the step up does kind of at least me scratching my head a little bit.
Right. I feel you. What do you think as far as his strengths? We're not going to do weaknesses because we're vibes only, but what are his strengths? What does he do well as far as like projecting to the next level into the NFL game? Where do you see him like hitting the ground running, so to speak?
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of mentioned it with, his size. I think he's really versatile. So going back to the way Jonathan Gannon wants to play, ideally with a multiple front, I think that he lends himself really well to that. I think you could put him at a one tech. He's not necessarily the biggest guy in the world, but I think he's got a really great ankler to be able to hold up and disrupt running lanes where maybe not a true two gapping defensive tackle, but I think he's someone that could be able to be effective there. I think the play strength though for him is solid. He can move offensive linemen when he beats him off the snap. The length obviously plays really well to him. And when you take a look at him last year, he had a great stop percentage, but also had a double-digit win percentage. So really well-rounded guy, understands how to get in the backfield and is effective on early downs. He's a pretty efficient player where like he had a low missed tackle percentage last year, was able to be, an overall effective player. And once again, he came from Missouri. He's playing SEC football, playing against the best of the best. And anytime you take a look at a guy that's doing that is impressive. So he spent 2 seasons at Florida before transferring to Missouri, played there over the last 2 seasons as a starter and has been really, really effective. So it seems like another floor pick to me where it's a guy that like he's going to come in and he's going to be a fairly surefire contributor. Do I love it? No, but it's a position of need and it's a very Packers-y pick.
I was going to say, okay, I know I joke about like all vibes, no negative, but I will say like you did do the defensive tackle write-ups for the CHTV draft guide and you have a number of dudes in front of McClellan. What were the concerns as far as if now it's a projection, right? Like what you see in the college tape is not a finished product, but what are your concerns as far as, okay, this is where maybe he gets taken advantage of at least early in his career?
So I think he struggles against technical players. His ability to win is going to be with that strength profile that I had talked about and with his actual length that is dominant. Like that's going to probably be one of the linchpins that really attracted the Packers to him. But when it comes to actually having that refined hand fighting and technical approach to how to, beat an offensive lineman off the snap with leverage to their chest, I think that he'll get beat in that hand fighting and he'll find himself on the, shorter end of that despite his length. I think that he also, and this is kind of reflected in his athletic testing, he's not the most explosive player. I like his ability, like I said, when he does beat an offensive lineman to be dominant, which I think like, hey man, if you can do that, you're awesome. But he's just inconsistent in his ability to be explosive off the snap. And so for that, I'd really like to see, that consistency come about, whether that consistency is, an athletic limitation or more so just him kind of having a better feel for, what the offense is doing. is, something I can't necessarily comment on. But when
I
he
hear you,
was
man.
able to get that snap, man, I really did like him. But it's a lot of consistency. It's a lot of technical ability.
The thing to remember too is like that's the inconsistency is always going to be an interesting kind of phrase and or watch point for any draft pick, because some of that, is their ability and how they are as a player, but also some of it is they're still developing, right? Like they do not enter the NFL as a finished product. Can they improve? Can they get better in this regard? I suspect the Packers are thinking, we like some of the stuff we've seen. We like some of the traits. We like some of the kind of projected upside. It's our job to get them there, right? And look, like you said, it's a position of need. We've all talked about it for now like 3 months, right? Like we have to, especially, I mean, considering they traded away Kenny Clark, they traded away Colby Wooden. I like the idea of having this kid come in along with Brinson and all the guys that are still there, along with, hope you got to think you got Devontae Wyatt coming back, etc. And you added Hargrave. Like, okay, here's your guy that you can come in, and you're not going to count on him right away, but hopefully, yes, certainly you would love to see him contribute on a rotational basis out of the gate, which I suspect is he's going to have to be asked to do at this point.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy that with his time at Missouri, has been able to kind of be the guy. Now obviously played alongside Zion Young, and so that was kind of a nice pairing for him.
It does
but
help.
It does, but it's not like he's going to be coming into Green Bay and not having a dominant edge rusher a la
I was just going to say,
Parsons.
Welcome to Micah Parsons, my friend.
Yep. So, that does create, those tendencies. And so I think the physical tools in terms of his size, AJ Halsey just went.
There he was. There he was.
He just went. I just saw
the Colts.
Yep. But I think his size and what you're able to do with him, I think is going to be a really big piece for him. So, if this is going to fall in terms of like the love, fine, hate, this is a fine pick.
It's fine. I get it. I like it.
I think the trade up kind of taints it a little more.
Taints it for you. I get it. I know you gave up something to go get this guy. Well, like I said, they see something projection wise. That's what this is all about, especially considering they traded up. It's about what they see happening long term with the player. So we'll see.
Here's the thing I'll say: the last Packer pick that I was sour that they traded up for, Evan Williams, and I have eaten every single one of those words. Yep, so, I have since moonwalked away from that. So I'm hoping, like I saw in Gudu we trust. Yep, I'm hoping that I'm wrong.
It's about projection, and they are clearly projecting here. I want to get to the gallery. I know we got some hands up. I believe with Lieutenant Dan leading the charge. I can't wait to hear the sourness, the negativity, the upsetness. What's going on, Dan?
I was just going to say it's clearly another Goot project. This is like an LVN of this year, more than likely is my guess. So,
all right.
I mean, it's a position of need. I'm not crazy about it, but Lord knows we need all the help we can get there.
I was just gonna say we need it, but not this guy.
Yeah, exactly. So the only other thing I was gonna say, I had actually raised my hand. I had some Banky Bake queued up, and then we traded up. So I think Ed is taking pity on. I think Ed's taken pity on Corey. He's seen him struggling with those bear barbells in the gym, and was like, "That's why I recognized him at the restaurant." Hey, you're that guy.
I got to throw this kid a bone.
So, yeah, I see you on Packers Transplant, so I'll give you an interview. So there you go.
I like it,
but
you're probably not wrong.
Anyways, I don't hate the pick, but I'm not crazy about the pick either. So that's all I got.
Like Newt said, fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm down with it.
It's good. Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you. Who else we got? I think we had a few others. Soder, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Rodgers had cell service when the Steelers tried to call him up that they were selecting a quarterback, but long odds.
FaceTime. Yeah, FaceTime didn't work.
It's somewhere out in the woods.
Someday in my lifetime, we will get a big run-stuffing defensive tackle that isn't an undrafted free agent, and I will be over the moon. But I think I might be dead by the time we get to that point.
Wait. Wait. How did we get Gilbert Brown?
Well, yes, he was cut by the
I'm just saying. Can come at any point, anytime, any way.
I think unless they're able to kick Carl Brooks out to defensive end, I do not think he is long for the Packer roster at this point.
I think he's in for a battle. I agree. And we still got what? A couple, 4, 5 selections to go. I think they could potentially add to that room. So yeah, I'm with you, man.
Maybe do they view him because of his size? There's somebody that they can up his size a little bit more and not lose the athleticism. Maybe get him up another 10 pounds or something.
Awesome. That's a great question.
Kind of the project.
I mean, as far again, this goes into the projection part, right? Like, is he A, able to carry a little bit more weight, and B, is he still growing into his body? Because that's the other part. These guys, they haven't fully developed yet. Some of them, most of them, and it's like, yes, it is about projecting. Okay, we see him as XYZ or growing into this or that. I can't say it, obviously, with any certainty, but it's a possibility. It's something they talk about, no doubt.
I mean, my thing is he feels like a tweener, not a nose, not a 3. He has size, he has some athleticism. That's all good, but we've run a lot of tweeners up there for the last decade and a half.
I was just going to say, it makes him a classic Packer.
Makes him a classic Packer.
I mean, no doubt. Hey, all I know is that everyone's like, meh, okay, whatever. And then he's going to come in week 1. He's just going to dominate. He's going to be there as a rotational dude, and he's just going to fuck shit up. That's all I care about. I'm excited about it.
That's how I'm hoping to walk back from my comments.
No, dude. Dude, trust me. You've done the work, and there's every possibility that this guy just coasts along and doesn't really ever take off. There's every possibility. But again, the Packers are looking at this as, whoa, hey, what's up there, light? They're looking at this as, we're projecting him to turn into XYZ as opposed to what he is right now.
Yep. No, I mean, once again, you get a guy that he's got 34-inch arms as a defensive tackle. He's able to play where he is at that weight. Not every guy has that. And now I was just kind of curious. I went and looked. He had 5 sacks over this year, over 20 pressures. So, once again, he's doing this in the SEC. He's been kind of consistent on both pieces.
Competition,
and
right?
Yeah, absolutely. If he comes in and he's able to really push that, then I'm all for it.
I think Big B's got his hand up. When Big B has something to say, you got to snap to attention and find out what the hell is up. What's up, Big B?
All right. Well, update from Joey. He is very excited.
Yes, of course.
One of his Mizzou guys.
Mizzou in the house.
He said, love the fit. He said, love the fit for the scheme. Run stuffer quick as fuck if he can break the line of scrimmage. Every down guy if they need him to be. So,
love it.
Future Hall of Famer.
I mean, Packers Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Seriously, obviously on the track. Appreciate the update, Big B.
2 for 2.
2 for 2.
Of course.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
2 future Hall of Famers in the fold here tonight. I love it. Thanks, Big B. I mean, yeah, I forgot Joey. Joey's sitting out there at Mizzou, covering Mizzou, former regular here on the CHTV draft coverage, but now he's he's becoming a real journalist and covering Mizzou for college credit. Sorry, too big to hang out with us mortals. But that's awesome. I forgot about Joey. Yes, Boots on the ground. I love it. I'm all in. Andrew Ware has something to say. What's up, Andrew?
Yo, what did we give up to move up? I missed the trade details.
Late round.
Was it 160?
Once around there, I believe. Yes.
So
please.
third round? Or,
Fifth.
or, yeah, fourth round. I mean,
if it was 160, it would have been our true fifth round pick. I was saying because we got 153 from Philadelphia with the Wiggins.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I hear my kid in the background.
160. It was 160. It was 160.
Okay.
So one pick to trade up. That's not bad.
Nope.
In the scheme of things at all.
As Brian said last night, he preferred to use this year's picks if he were to trade up.
Yes.
Which is what he did.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, this is another year for better or worse, and I'm not saying for worse because overall I like his drafting. I'm not. Please do not mishear me by saying that, but he's doing what he wants to do again in the draft, and that has been a consistent theme with his draft since he's been our GM. And I'll fucking take that over a lot of the other shit in this league right now. And I understand. I mean, it does feel like a very Packery Gutekunst pick, right? I think we all kind of say that. We all kind of roll our eyes a little bit at that. But the truth is, he is again doing what he wants to do in the draft, and that's invaluable. He doesn't panic. He doesn't. Yeah. He knows what the hell he's doing. Again, we can criticize some of the picks there, but the truth is he does what he wants to do. And that's something that I think at the end of the day, I'll take. All of us should appreciate and take over whatever panicking is going on. And we're not the Cleveland Browns, you know what I mean? So it's nice to see. So I'll take it. I'm okay with it. I think that's I'm not gonna, I'm not. But it is a position of need, and it is cool to see us. We go best player available. At position of need, and it is kind of the two places we wanted to see. I'm sorry, she's trying to get mom. I'll get off here. It's real loud in the background. But yeah, I just two players at position of need. I'll take it. Let's go.
What more do you need in life? Come on now. We all talked about needing a corner and a defensive tackle, and they've taken a corner and a defensive tackle.
There you go.
You know what I mean? I'm down with it. Whether the names are the right ones, whether you think this or that, man, it's a meat and potatoes draft. You talk about needs. You talk about we need bodies in these rooms. We need the floor to elevate at these positions. That's what they're doing. I'm fine with it.
I was gonna say I just read the wrap up that I don't know if you posted it on Twitter for the CHTV.
Well, it was Tyler.
Draft guide.
All over
that was Tyler
it.
did it.
Yeah.
That was Tyler. Yeah, I was like, wow, that was a good thing. It was exactly what I said on air. But yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. It was lockstep with what you said. So, your opinion is right and true. You've got your viewpoint. And that's great.
And I think I feel like I tried to do this with myself with Matthew Golden last year, and I'm happy, obviously, about that because I think the arrow's pointing up. Because I saw Dominic Orange just went to Minnesota, and obviously, that was kind of the one.
Oh,
yep.
No.
And it always happens. It always happens.
Well, now the comparisons will inevitably be made throughout their careers. Packers fans will say, "This is, the Eagles selection all over again." You know what I mean? Everybody wanted the kid, I can't remember his name now.
Oh,
he had a pick 6 in the fucking Super Bowl. I can't remember his name.
Cooper
Defensive back. DeJean goes to the Eagles, and the Packers fans are like, "We got Jordan Morgan. This is ridiculous." Blah blah blah. So now the new one is going to be Citrus to the Vikings, and we took this kid out of Mizzou.
Yeah, but
That's how it works.
If I look at it, I think Citrus is very much what you see is what you get, which I like. Like I like kind of what he offers. And I think over the past 2 years, you've seen that. But to the point that you're talking about inconsistencies in hand placement and technical refinement, man, I think that there's another tier that you can get from Chris McClown.
Here's hoping, right? That is what it's about. It's about projecting upside and getting like something that's more than what you've seen in the college game. Yeah, man, I'm excited. Like I said, we've talked for months about they need a corner, they need a defensive tackle, and that's what they've done. And I get it. Maybe people don't agree with the exact names, but addressing needs. All right, folks, it's 10:20. There are several selections left, but the Packers are done as far as having selections. If they trade up into the bottom of the third round, I will come back and do another video. But at the moment, I'm going to wrap things up because I know, most likely the Packers are done. They're probably done for the night. And I do want to hear Goody chat, and I kind of hope I can get on the availability for the newest defensive tackle of the Green Bay Packers. So appreciate the support. Appreciate everyone coming on tonight. And Newt, thank you so much for coming here and doing the heavy lifting and really giving us your insight and expertise and all the work you did here on the CHTV YouTube channel. Really, really appreciate it. You and I will be back with a wrap-up video on Sunday talking about everybody the Packers select over the course of this draft. Before we get going, I got to give a shout-out. Lieutenant Dan, you got your hand up. One last moment here. What's up, Lieutenant Dan? What Banky bait without Banky do you got for us?
Nope. I just was I wanted to ask you, maybe how the Packers got linked to this guy. I noticed he didn't visit with them. He only visited with the Giants, the 49ers, Panthers, Cardinals, Broncos. I'm just curious, maybe if you had some insight of how they got this guy on their radar. Because
every dude is on the radar. That's the thing to remember. Just because they bring guys in or don't bring guys in is very immaterial as far as if whatever their interest might be. Certainly, I don't know. I can't remember who the area scout might be, but I promise you, they have been tracking this guy essentially since he came on campus. Like essentially since he came on a campus. Because I don't know what his trajectory or his path has been, but the thing to remember is, like, I'll never forget when they were talking about A.J. Dillon, and they were talking about how they were there his first, day at Boston College. Talking to him and getting to know him, whatever. Whoever has been talking to this kid has known him for years. So how, he got on the radar, they started looking at him. They started looking at the tape. They started going to his games, and they started going probably each and every week for years on end. But yeah, I don't know if there's a direct moment or guy you can point to. Unless, Newt, maybe you have something I don't.
I mean, he's a Senior Bowl guy. He's a combine guy. I'm sure that there were, conversations at both of those, if not the combine, for sure the Senior Bowl. That's when you get a chance to really dig in with those guys that are there. But to the point you're making, these connections are probably being made with a guy like him, months, if not years, before this opportunity for the pre-draft process even hops in.
You make a good point there too. They love, and I mean underline, italicize, love guys who not only participate, but play well, practice well at the Senior Bowl. They are Senior Bowl junkies. So if you are at the Senior Bowl, A, you're already probably going to be pretty intensely looked at. But B, if you do play well, practice well, what have you, and are, somebody they like in an interview process that week, yeah, you're going to be on their radar pretty heavily because they love the idea of guys going up against, top competition, but also guys who have been, if they're at the Senior Bowl, although those rules have changed over the years, but more often than not, those are guys who've been in the college programs for a number of years and are about to go into the NFL and are the top of the top. and they want guys who excel in that situation throughout that week, competition-wise. So I suspect, yeah, that's a great point, Newt, as far as, yeah, he probably turned their heads at the Senior Bowl, I would guess, which they probably already knew a lot about him, but I would suspect that week more than anything probably helped solidify what they thought about him.
Plus side, he dug some trenches in Gainesville, so go Gators.
There you go. You go.
We'll see. We'll see.
Appreciate
All
you,
right,
Dan.
thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, brother.
Great job tonight.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for checking it out. Thank you, everyone who's come out, hung out tonight. Really appreciate each and every one of you, all the Patreon support, all the Carry the G Club support. Thank you, everyone. Big, humongous, monster thank you to Newt Westen hanging out. Make sure you check out all his work. You can find a link in the description of this video to follow him on X. You can follow his work across. I mean, this is a dude who eats, sleeps, breathes the NFL draft, as you can see tonight, and all his work at the CHTV YouTube channel. Newt, thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate the compliments and the kind words.
Thank you, everybody. We got 2 new Packers in the fold. If any more come about tonight, I'll let you know. But otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow here on the YouTube channel. I'll be doing videos for each selection. Thank you. Have a great night. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
Go.